to be amidst you for this particular session. And the first session which I am going to start with is the session on communication and how it can change the perspective of women. Also that I see the inclusion of men in today's session, and that makes me more responsible because women cannot stand alone unless we have support of men. And communication is such a thing which most of us know that we know it all. But to tell you frankly, many of us falter even when we are at the acme of our career. And that is why we said there lies an Achilles heel in all of us, whether we think we are dexterous communicator or whether sometimes we think we have our inhibitions for communication. So today, as I proceed further, I will be talking about effective communication and its role. And when I talk about effective communication, the first thing which I would like to communicate to you all is to know a little bit about you and to tell about myself, because you must have heard my introduction, but then how good we are at listening is something which is very important. We, most of the time, are busy in speaking out things, but when it comes to listening, we become very poor. And if I just say, jot down 8 points which you heard about me when I was introduced, I tell you it will be difficult. Some of you would have, who love the sports, probably must have paid attention that I am heading a running group which is Pet Pets. Some of you who think are good at flying probably have picked up that I have got gliding pilot license. And some of you who talk about the PhD topic and somebody who can replicate,
recording is on.
I would be saying that is what is a magical thing. If anyone can replicate what was my topic of thesis, I would be elated. I'm sure that when we talk about listening habits, we are poor at it. Alright, so before I proceed, I should know just a small introduction of each one of you. Just your name would be enough today. And I would be glad if we can have the name written on the tables, so while I'm interacting with you, we can exchange the ideas. The mode of workshop would be more of your participation. Even when I'm talking about anything, I would require your participation, and I hope if everyone is fine with it. Yes? Because, you know, one-way communication, we had enough of it when we were dealing with COVID situation, right? So people were just talking from one side, the other side, we did not know how they were taking it. So we will have it from both the sides. So when we talk about role of effective communication in breaking glass ceiling of women, we have to clarify what is this glass ceiling. Is it that each one of us has faced any of such problem, or we have thought of anything? We will look into that. And also that, you know, how to break it. Or is there a way to break this particular ceiling, right? So can we have just the names and before we proceed?
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, good morning.
My name is Karma Wangchukhutia.
A difficult name to pronounce, but it's okay. All right.
You can call me Karma.
Okay, Karma. All right. Madam.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Sonam Denka Wangi. Little bit difficult. You can call me Denka.
Sonam,
I prefer Denka.
Denka.
Thank
okay. All right. Fine.
Okay, I am Kisan Chuki Bakupa. That's a mouthful, so you can call me Chuki.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Good morning.
All right. And let me see how much I remember, because I'm talking about listening and we have to see. Yes.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Jivan Kharka.
Jivan
Kumar Kharka.
Jivan Kumar. So Jivan Kumar is something which is more familiar to me. All right, Jivan. Yeah.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Jyoti Kharka. Jyoti.
Jyoti. All right.
I am Sangeeta Sharma.
Sangeeta Sharma. Something similar to my name. Sangeeta Sharma. All right.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Sesi Hansubha.
Okay.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Ranjita Pradhan.
Right.
My name is Damyan Choudhury.
Okay.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good
My name is Bipika.
Okay, Viveka.
Good morning, madam. My name is Nairitya Sharma.
Alright.
My name is Mahima.
Mahima. Okay.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Jwala.
Joanna. Alright. So, do we have your name also?
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Rita.
Okay, alright. Thank you so much. So we started with the names, and as I said that we'll start with role of effective communication. How many of you really think that we are good at communication? Just raise the hands. We are good at communication, and what is this communication we are talking about? Is it just the choice of words? Is it the non-verbal communication? Is it something intangible which we are communicating throughout, but we do not know that we are communicating? You're sitting with your crossed hands, and she also sitting like that, and she's sitting with the other portion. That's perfect. Feel comfortable, don't get conscious. So are we communicating something while even doing that? Yes. So it is said that communication has already started. As soon as I entered this room, many of you had already started thinking what I am going to do with the judicial officers when I come from the background of being a professor in the technical institute, right? So there are things that have already started getting in your head and the worries in mind, because I feel, will I be able to do justice with the kind of treatment which I have been given? You know, it's almost like elevating me to height. So would I be able to do that with you also? Communication has already started. You would have seen through my expression, and I see through your expression that there's a lot of expectations from me, right? So, you know, this is what is communication. So in simple terms, if I just say what is communication, how would you define it? What is the definition of communication, if I say so? Simple. It's expressing oneself. And we have seen the Airtel advertisement which says about expressing oneself. There are no words there. It's just the music, the friendship, the connectivity, the networking, everything. And that is how people are able to connect themselves. Am I right there? Alright, so this is what is expressing oneself, sharing the ideas, sharing the views, sharing the opinion, and, you know, telling about your feelings or the experience what you had over the period of time is nothing but communication. Communication had been a very simple process because people choose words to communicate, and as I said, communication is happening through the non-verbal means also. But when I say about words, what is the importance of words today? In your profession, are you very, very careful, you're very chary for picking out a particular word and using it? Yes. In your profession, it is all the more important that what is the choice of words, and you cannot be too spontaneous to choose any word and use it. Correct? So they say that words are very important. Today, we have words for everything. Now when I say we have the words, the ants moving on our hand, we feel sometimes a feeling of ants moving over the hand. It's called as fornication. We have smell which is coming from the feet, which is awful, and we call it as bromohydrosis. You have fear of taking bath, you call it as what is the word for taking bath? That is the phobia for bathing. We have a word for it. We have a word for fear of 13. The word is triskaidekaphobia. We have fear of, heights. We have acrophobia. So we have words for everything. You say it and we have a word, the exact word. But how rich our vocabulary is, it all depends on our interest in the feeling of knowing the words. So ablutophobia is another word what we were saying about taking bath. It just slipped out of my mind. So I hope you understand that words can be exactly telling about our feelings, right? But sometimes what happens is that we are not able to get the right kind of word. What do we do then? What is usually a habit? Have you come across an instance when we forget what is the word and what do we do then? Can I take a response from all of you? Okay, alright. So there it brings me into a very interesting fact. Mrs. Louis from her book called Female Mind, she has talked about that women speaks 3 times more than men. So do we believe on that? And when she says about this one, that she talks 3 times more, she says, in a day, do you know how many words she speaks? So you can tell, you are looking at women's side, but you can tell how many words you are listening to. So it's around 20,000 words that she speaks a day, and that is on an average. I'm just talking about an average that she's able to speak those many words. And no, perfectly alright. So Nida is one of the techniques, and where you have rightly pointed out that she talks the functional, it's just not the content words, but those fillers which says about, her, I think so, probably, alright. So she tries to use those words which are not of much meaning, but we call as nasalized or vocalized pauses, alright. So, and that is usually done so that her chance of speaking doesn't go away. Okay, so that is why we usually say men do not get opportunity while a woman is speaking, because she doesn't let him speak so fast. When we talk about, the next slide please. So when we talk about women and what problems are being faced because of the glass ceiling, before this, if somebody can define what glass ceiling is, or have we felt the same somewhere, just let me know. But what I'm going to do is, what is the role of communication in life, and the picture which I have taken here is a meaningful picture, and also that does communication break down sometimes, or does it happen the way we want it to be going to the other party? I think you people are a little uncomfortable because of the temperature or something. No, it's fine for everyone? It's fine? Okay, so when we say why it breaks, because weather also is one of the reasons for breaking the communication. At least I was feeling a little hot. I just took out my blazer and I felt comfortable. That is one of the reasons. We also got to know, when I put a glass ceiling, I have pictorially put the same as glass ceiling. But what is the glass ceiling, we ought to know. And what are the steps, what we can take for effective communication. Alright, so when we begin on the first point as role of communication in life, a child, as soon as the child is born, it starts communicating. It communicates through the cry, the touch, the mother's touch. Alright, and slowly, because it's a need of time, it's said that communication has come up, or the language has come up because of the need of the time. Human beings earlier did not need any communication, just with the shouts and just with the gestures and the pictorial depictions, it was okay, and human beings could survive. But then when the interdependence started, communication became more effective, and so the language came. The question, before I proceed further, is how did language come? What is the time when language started? Is the language stagnant today, or is it changing? Is it necessary for us to know English, or is your regional language enough? So these are some of the questions which we have to answer and carry forward. Alright, so tell me first thing first, how language came up? If anyone? I'm ready for the interaction. Need to express, but do we know the time period? Is there some connection between sound and sense, sound and meaning of the words? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes? Is there some connection? Are you sure about it? What is the connection between table, that it should look like a table? And if table means this table, then we have varieties of table today. But everyone knows that these are table. Judicial has said signifier and signifier, right? So if he talks about it, the meaning starts residing in the mind of people. And when I would say that there is a sense, I would say that you are right, because I have to prove that you are right. When I say that there is sense between sound and meaning, there are words like thunder, cock-a-doodle-doo, borborygmus. Are you familiar with the word that is called as borborygmus? These sounds which starts coming from our stomach when we are hungry is called as borborygmus. Gud, what we say in Hindi, gud. So that gud is also similar to the sounds that are coming. In English, when I'm saying borborigmas, it is also something similar to what I am saying. So, but then in every language, there could have been one word. It is not the truth. So there are a lot of things that have come to our discussion, that language has emerged because there is a similarity, like there is a connection between sound and sense. Can you give me more example of such words? Can we have more example of such words? Where you have connection? You have a lot of words like this.
Wow, wow.
Bow, 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 bow. The dogs,
Dog.
the dog
Meow,
sound.
like
The
cats.
meow,
Especially
cat,
animals.
crackle, the sound crackle. Okay? Anything that you don't remember it? We have lot many. Buzz, bush, buzz. There are many words like this.
Bang.
Huh? Bang. Perfect. Thud. Right? So we have such words, but as I said, not all words are like this. So I think we do not have genesis of how language has come up. Alright, so there were many theories about it, and then people said, I think it was God who said, let there be a language, and there was language, because there's no such specific date which has come to being that this is how language came. But look at the sophistication of language today. Is language changeable? Yes. Is a need of time. For example, mouse. What did it mean earlier, before the computers were there? It was a rodent mouse, the animal mouse. But what is it today? If I just say mouse, probably our attention goes to this mouse. Windows. Not these windows, but the windows on computer. Right? This is what is the beauty of language. Language change. Now, you have to give me 5 words where the word has got new meaning to it. For example, I say the word nice did not mean nice what we are using it today. Nice earlier meant a village lad. But nice today means you're nice. Alright, it's a compliment. Similarly, many words have changed like this. They have got new meanings. And you will be surprised when I say the word run has got 92 meanings with it. So one word, many meanings, many words, one meaning. So you have magical things with the words. And you know, Hindi words, for example, keep coming to English. The words like sepoy, sepahi, sepoy. Right? Which one? Mother, ma, mata. Alright? Paratha, raita. So we have words which are being picked up. Why I'm talking about all this is, earlier we were thinking that these are not English words, and so easily that as soon as the words were accepted in the lexicon, they became as the acceptable words for language.
I just want to make a mention here.
Yes.
Just to share it with everyone.
Yes, you can put on your mic.
I read somewhere recently that the word jugaad has been in.
Yes, perfectly alright. Yes, that's a fantastic one. Yeah, the word jugaad, which means, you know, India, in Indians, they do it so well, so that when they have to use the shower, they put the bottle and put the holes there, it becomes a shower, right? And you have seen that the vehicles on which they take their children, they make them sit, the complete family, and our Indian family is not 1 or 2, they are 25. Yes, let's go. So, you know, you have this jugaad word, and I would still say we are talking about innovations, and when we talk about innovations with the words, I think it's fantastic. The word fantabulous is one of it, which has been, you know, collated with 2 words which have no connection. And again, you would also tell me that it is because of the language of the mobile phone that we have new coinage of the words. In fact, words are dying as well. Why words are dying? If I just ask you, the words are dying. Why are the words dying?
New ones are coming in.
Because new ones are coming up. Can you just tell me about the mobile phone? Yeah, I'm asking you. Don't look at the back. I'm asking her. Yeah, you tell me. No, on the mobile phone, you use words or do you use something else? You have to show smile, then what would you do?
Emoji.
That's what. So words are being changed by the emoticons. Alright? So instead of using words, this is what we are doing. So when we say about the communication thing, I just say that there is an intended message. Today I want to tell you something. The intended message goes to the receiver. You are the receiver. It goes with a different content sometimes because there are many things that you are struggling with in your mind. What are these things? For example, when I am talking, what all are you thinking of? Tell me truly.
How will the other person receive it?
How the other person is receiving. Okay, alright. What are you thinking of? Be truthful.
Maybe if I'm able to communicate it clearly.
Okay, alright. Fantastic, ma'am.
Sorry, what was your question?
My question is, when I'm talking to you,
Thinking about how I'm communicating or what I'm wanting.
you are thinking right now. When I am talking to you, is it that you are concentrating only on the contents which I am talking about? I have interacted with number of audience and I will let you know what you are thinking of. If you don't tell me, I will let you know you are thinking of. And as I said, let's be honest. Yes. Maybe your body posture. Yeah, alright. And probably he's thinking what age she should be. Alright? Okay? And she must be thinking, is she still flying or something? What is she doing here for the interaction? Why can't she fly it right now?
No, what I'm thinking is when it comes to cell phones, like how we use emojis. So another thing which has come about because of cell phones are these abbreviations, LOL, FYI.
Absolutely.
Calculator.
Acronyms.
So,
Yeah. Those are also fantastic. So that's a new way of learning the language. What are you thinking of?
I'm thinking that there are so many words I do not know.
Like the word eglutophobia? Alright, there's an interesting word. If he says that there are so many words he doesn't know, there's an interesting word. If you remain recalcitrant, I will defenestrate you. Now, you did not understand and you're smiling. I just wanted to say that if he is stubborn, I will throw him out of the window. I'm sorry. But he was smiling because you...
like Shashi Tharoor.
Language of Shashi Tharoor. So, if we speak about it, there are many, many complicated words, but of course, we will learn words. I tell you, it's not necessary to know the words, but you are better off educated or knowledgeable if you know more words, because that is what we can do in capacity building. We have capacity to do many, many things, but we like to be in our own shell and continue with what we are doing, right? So that is it. Any input from you, the young boy?
Ma'am, the long words that Shashi Tharoor uses, mostly it's new words which we haven't heard before.
Okay, alright. So he started talking about Shashi Tharoor. Alright, so can you guys tell me which one is the longest word? Because you just talked about Shashi Tharoor, you can put off your mic if you're not speaking. So can you tell me which is the longest word? Feel free to talk to me. I really want to enjoy this session and I want to see a smile on your face. But there is a word? Alright. So the word sounds something like flossy, fossy, nihilification. Alright, so this is a word which is one of the longest words. Shashi Tharoor is doing it beautifully well, but sometimes we call such people as people like me who are using these words and making him scared as show-off people. So it's nothing to show off. I'm just telling you the importance of words, because sometimes what happens is when we are sitting in the interview, alright, and somebody asks us a question like, what are you going to inscribe on your epitaph? No, I do not know what epitaph is. So what would you inscribe on your epitaph? So epitaph is this tombstone. So when we die, it's there, and if I just ask you what you are going to inscribe, if you just say it, it would be funny, but then you can give creative answers. So sir, now I have told you that that's your stone. Stone, when I am gone, there is a stone. So, I'm just asking what can we inscribe over there. What would you write? Give me a creative thing. I don't know, in your job, are we thinking about something which is creative, or are we thinking too much about the facts and the figures?
All the time.
All the time, facts and the figures and how how to defend this, I tell you, even in your job, start thinking something creatively and jugaad thing. I tell you, it's going to help you a lot. It's my perspective. See the perspectives, because I don't have that responsibility, I have my perspective. But I tell you, creativity in your life is very important, without which the life has become very rigid and we have stopped looking for our entertainment or our fun fact. Okay, that's going zero. Am I right there? You people are really into rut. It's so difficult for you to survive because you're thinking only in one line. I would still say creativity. So the question still remains and you have to tell me what you're going to inscribe on your epitaph. You can just say your name, but I want creative answer. No? Okay, somebody else then? Somebody would say, you know, I lived here.
I was here.
I was here. I loved music, okay? You loved a song, you can talk about it. Somebody, a crush probably we can write, you know. Anything. So, you know, a person like me would say, hey, I was where you are and you would be where I am. Isn't it? So, you know, that becomes as a creative, the person who's reading probably can have some fun out of it. Okay, so let's take a break now, and before I move and say that role of communication in our life, how many of you think that even keeping silent would be communication?
Yes.
Right? But again, as I said, women has difficulty in remaining silent.
Passive aggression.
Yes, passive aggression. But where we have to show aggression, we fail miserably. When we are at home and we have to, you know, fight with our husband, it's at the peak. The aggression is at the peak. But when we are in the offices, we are not aggressive, and we'll be talking about that particular fact in time to come. Alright, so let's take a break. I will give you a sheet, okay? And in this sheet, we have to make groups and not alone because he doesn't want to work alone. And that's why we have to make groups, and we will just count. How many of us are there? I think group of 3 would be fine. Alright? So we will have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the friends are staying away from each other and we make a new group. Is that okay, ma'am? Alright? Yes. So say 1.
3.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
All the twos, all the threes.
Yes. Are you part of it, or you want to just observe?
Yes,
Okay. So all 1s here, all 2s here, all 3s here. Yes. You can put it off, probably it's on or something, that it is having an interest. So what we have to do is, we have to make 2 parts of the sheet. On one side, you have to write what we are good at communication, okay? And the second part, what we can improve on communication. And this activity will take place as the group, okay? So sometimes you might say that it's an advantage to you, but she doesn't have that as the advantage. You can just mix it up as a group member and write it, okay? So at least 5 to 6 points each side would be good. Now in communication, what all comes? It could be choice of words, it could be diction, it could be paralinguistic features, that's a non-verbal part of it, or it could be something like debating, articulation, it could be anything, right? And what you are not good at, we will just say that the things which we have to polish, or we aspire to
So what
learn.
you're good at communicating, what you're not good at
Absolutely. But I don't want to use the negative term as not good, so I'm just saying what we can improve. So purposely I had used euphemism. So euphemism, we try to not to use the word not. If I'm ugly, you might say that my beauty is not visible to you, rather than saying that I'm ugly. So it's just the way we say the things. So alright, your time starts now, and we will have 6 to 7 minutes for this, and then you have to say one person in the group, maybe not the junior, has to give the presentation. Alright, okay, alright, let's start.
Diction, right? Diction.
So it's just like, school children, and when I'm asking, did you complete it? Hard of hearing, we don't hear anything now. Talk after some time. Okay, perfect. The rest two, 2 minutes more. They're still figuring out what they're not good at. Alright, so group number 1 is ready. Group number 2? Group number 2, are you? Group number 3? Yes. So what's your name? Yeah. Jwala. Jwala, did you contribute to it? Yes, you did. Okay, fantastic. So maybe we can start with group number 1 and you can come forward and or maybe there itself, one of you can stand because he's recording for you, and then you can say what you're good at, the group is good at, and what is it that we are fighting for. Alright, everyone, please be good listeners. Also, for motivation, clap for the other person, because otherwise if I don't ask you to do that, towards the end you will not do it for me. So, just joking. So, let's clap for the person once they have given the presentation. Alright.
But before we start, I think that group is disadvantaged because all the men are there.
No, that's okay. But it is matter of chance, isn't it? We said one, I wanted to avoid it, and I also did not notice. I said 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and see, all of them are there. Is it that your number was like this, or you made it like that?
We're starting with the handicap now. Let's start.
Okay. Started. Yes.
Okay, group number 1 is good at words, diction, pronunciation, gestures, tone, articulation, and clarity. And what we need improvement on is, 1 is body language, then pronunciation, spelling, articulation, vocabulary, clarity, debate, expressing, and listening.
Very good. Alright, please clap for them. And did you notice that few things were here but here too? But that's fantastic because probably it was overlapping because of the group. And can somebody clarify to me what are gestures and how are they important in their life? Can anyone amongst you clarify, or is it from you, or maybe 3 of you who are sitting at the back and enjoying can also tell me that what gestures are? What are gestures and what do they do? While I'm talking to you, did you see that I'm using my hands?
That's a body language.
It's gestures, okay? It's part of body language, but these are gestures. And why do we use gestures? Why do we use gestures?
To
emphasize, probably to emphasize, or maybe to accentuate that, this is what. And sometimes we even bang when we are angry. So my anger shows that, authority. Yeah, the game, right? So this is what is to show the authority. So the gestures are very important. And the importance of gestures would be known to you also when you are getting a picture clicked all by yourself. So should I stand like this? Should I put my hand like this? Where should I put my hands? The thing which has been such a good thing for me had become a problem to me because we don't know where to keep the hand when I'm standing alone for the picture. So gestures are very useful, but we should not be artificially using the gestures, and sometimes the ungainly gestures can be very, very bad. When I say ungainly gestures, have you ever noticed that the person who's talking to you, he starts scratching the head or put her or his hand at the wrong places? I mean, that could be so embarrassing. So gestures are very important. When we talk about pronunciation, how much importance you give to pronunciation? And do we know the right pronunciation? Do we know that we have RPA system, we have American pronunciation, we have Australian pronunciation, and we have Indian pronunciation? So which one should we follow? And is it that when people are using right pronunciation, for example, the word indict, which you probably are using in your profession, the spelling is INDICT, and many people say it as indict. Or debris is pronounced as debris by many people. Alright? Rendezvous, probably people do not know how to pronounce at all. Rendezvous. Rendezvous.
Even for a simple like education or education.
Education. Often. Alright? So the thing is, we should not be too crazy about the pronunciation. However, it shows the class of elite if we go for right kind of pronunciation, and we should follow the news in a way that gives the right kind of BBC news or those news which give us the right kind of pronunciation. And for that matter, I don't have a blackboard here, but I would like to say that the dictionary, it gives you all the symbols for the pronunciation which should be readable by us. And today we don't need it because you have your mobile phone, it talks about the pronunciation, but we have to be careful.
Ma'am, just a question, like my child is, like when she was in grade 1, grade 2, so when she was learning the phonics. So
Phonetics?
Yes,
Yeah.
the way she's taught, so what category does it, like how do you like grade, like in the sense, like is it English pronunciation? Or
It all depends. See, I hope all of us know that we were governed by Britishers. So earlier, whatever we were doing, for example, the word sure was said by Britishers. So when we were following them, we were going for British pronunciation. Today, we are so much dominated by American pronunciation that we have changed our ways. All good movies we watch from the America. Alright, we want to aspire to go to America first, then we think about London. Am I right there?
Even our laptops reject all our spellings.
Absolutely.
All
So,
our spellings are shown.
yes. So today what is happening is, it's more like American pronunciation, right? That is what we are following. Yeah. And I tell you, if we go to London, we will not be able to understand their English. I mean, a person like me who has been talking all about it, I'll say, what? So it takes time because of the difference. Okay? Alright, thank you very much, and you people get chocolates for good presentation. And this is Barmacidal that I keep giving chocolates like this. Barmacidal is illusory gifts. Okay? So I know the words, and they were just looking where the chocolates are. What is she doing like that? Okay, the next one. And I hope it is not coming from junior. Carry on.
Middle.
A middle. Okay, alright.
So ma'am, I think we are good at being articulated, perceptive, empathetic, we are attentive, our body language, facial expression, and basic grammar.
Okay,
I
all
think,
right.
and we need to improve our acceptance of us being wrong or our vulnerabilities.
Okay,
Our
very good.
tone,
Uh-huh.
especially. Not being impulsive when we are, because of our emotions, and
Yeah.
not especially
Uh-huh.
our body language and facial expressions also,
Okay.
and our vocabulary.
All right, please clap for them also. And so beautiful. They wrote something else. These people are writing something else, being empathetic and those kind of things. So it's so different. The thing is, the first sentence, if you had noticed, what did I say? We have Achilles heel in all of us. I hope you know about Achilles heel, right? So we just have to accept that we have problems. We know people on the top make mistakes. It's not that, Obama, who's such a great speaker, or Oprah Winfrey, who's a great speaker, or our Prime Minister, right? Respected Narendra Modi. It's not that they do not make mistakes in speaking. They do. And I hope all of you remember when somebody said, one of the ministers had said, in the name of dog, rather than saying in the name of God. You remember that? So this is possible. This is possible because this is some phenomena which is very prominent with the speakers. And more pressurized we are, there are more chances that we will fumble. The mistakes are grave then. Okay? And this is what is called, this particular thing is called malapropism. When we use the wrong word, because the meaning resides in the mind, and I'm thinking I'm saying this, but I'm saying something else. And this must have happened with us. Okay? So that's nothing to worry, because if those people can come and mistake, we can always overcome it. Okay, you remember I forgot the word ablutophobia. I try to overcome it in my this one because I was able to remember it. I'm just human being, just thinking that I cannot commit mistake or I cannot forget. I think we are wrong there. Even computers are making mistakes, so we are human beings. So I think fantastic. We still have hopes. And when we talk about non-verbal and to learn about non-verbal, how do we learn about non-verbal? That you can tell me. How do we learn about non-verbal? Is it that we have to deliberately learn about it, or it's the observation, which is the best thing we can do? And also there are cross-cultural differences in the countries. In some countries, I mean, she's a great madam, and if I come close to her, she's feeling uncomfortable, I'm feeling uncomfortable. This happens, right?
I'll give you an example.
Yes, please do.
His Holiness, the recent gesture of sticking out the tongue, it is something that is accepted in the Tibetan community, whereas it was looked at differently by the world.
Absolutely. And you remember that girl, she winked and it became as a social phenomena? I mean, everyone appreciated it. And just imagine, by mistake, if I wink amongst you, you will think about me. Maybe you cannot say it because I'm a research person, but you will think something about me. I cannot stop it. So what she says as a right, as a cultural difference to show tongue, and it is diluting every day, all right, because of the social networking, mostly because people think getting viral is something which is good, but getting viral for wrong reasons, we cannot appreciate. So, and that is why we say society is going down, it's degenerating. And sometimes we fear. I hope that fear is in all of us. We think about our children, there's a fear. Am I correct? So it's not only in communication, it's non-verbal cues, it's the behavior, it's the acceptance, it's just the mindset. All right, fantastic. We move further. So it's watching films, watching people on the show that we ought to learn about gestures. There are few times when people can manage without the language also. They can just be through with the gestures. Can you give me an example? When I should not speak and you understand me. What is that particular instance? Have you seen the film by Kamal Hassan, Pushpak?
Yes.
There were no words there. We understood the film. In fact,
But even the dance forms, Indian dance forms.
Yes, that's what I wanted to hear from you. Kathakali.
Yes.
It's so fantastic. It's so fantastic. But then, when we talk about, suppose I had to deliver a talk, and you said, Ma'am, you don't speak, we don't want to hear you. You use only non-verbal. It would have been difficult for me, right? I could not have danced and, told you everything. That had been very innovative. And she started laughing and thinking, what if she's dancing and teaching us like this? It would be more entertainment. Okay, all right. So that's about it. But the reply which you said about the dance forms, and you see that their makeup is also done in a different way so that the visibility is there. So that's a fantastic example. All right, tell me.
So at column of good, we noted that number 1, choice of words.
Choice
number
of words.
2,
okay.
vocal and articulate. Number 3, body language. Non-verbal communication. Listening and explaining. We are good at.
Okay. All right.
And not good at, or we need improvement, is at in the area of debate or argument, vocabulary, placement of words, delivery of words, expression, listening to lengthy arguments, and convincing.
All right. So I really liked your point on listening, and please believe, I am not saying that I am the best, but believe that if I had been sitting here on this chair and talking to you, the interaction would have been less. You're right. And for how long would you be able to listen to me? Because today I can speak for 9 hours together because everything is from the net, right? Or from the books, right? It's so simple. But people's attention is less. They say listening is something as a lost art today. People are not ready to listen. And I agree when he says that you cannot listen beyond 15 minutes, maximum. And what you listen, you'll forget. You'll forget here. Time back, she just said, I forgot what your question was. It's just because, attention is different. difficult, and it's not the problem of listeners. There's another very technical problem. What is the problem? The number of words an individual can speak per minute. Can you guess? What is the average? I'm not talking about women as such. I'm just talking about average words per minute we can speak. Can you guess? How many words? Right now my speed is less, or it's average around? Average. So the number of words an individual can speak per minute, guess? Give a guess. 100? 100? You said? 150. Okay. 100. So I think you people are on the right line. It's around 130 to 150 words per minute. Do you know how many words can we listen per minute? Ability to listen. Now pay attention to this. What is our ability to listen to the words?
Maybe 20 or 30.
Okay. Ability. Go beyond.
Okay.
Ability. If somebody speaks, you have that power. Your power is around 400 to 600 words per minute actually speaking. But yes, and that is why it is said what we speak and what we listen, there is a gap. And that is why I was saying that what are you thinking about when I'm speaking? You can concentrate on what I'm saying. At the same time, you're also thinking, चाय का टाइम नहीं हुआ, बंद कब करेगी, हमने तो इतना बोल दिया, ये कितना बोल रही है, ये कब वापस जाएंगी. You know, those kind of things will come to your mind. सर तो सबसे ज़्यादा सोच रहे हैं. Okay? ये मेरे से why she is asking and why she is targeting me every time, and he wants to avoid and my attention goes to him. Alright, so he is thinking all about it. So I hope you understood that there is a lag, there's a time lag, and that is why the communication suffers. And it is very difficult for us to concentrate only for this reason. People say when you speak, you lose calories. But do you know when you listen attentively, you lose more calories. So those who are thinking that they cannot do exercise, so yes, the next thing was that we women.
All the ladies are going to keep quiet.
Yeah, so those women who are thinking that they cannot exercise, it's time for us to listen to the people attentively. Alright, I will just read out one interesting fact for you who had been thinking that communication is such a simple thing and people can communicate as they wish because you people have come up with very good ideas. So I have something to share with you all. Now this sharing says, this is a true stories of a Japanese embassy in the US. A few years ago, Prime Minister Modi was given some basic English conversation training before he visits Washington and meets President Bill Clinton. The instructor told Modi, Prime Minister, when you shake hands with President Clinton, please say, how are you? Then Mr. Clinton should say, I am fine, and you? Now you should say, me too. Afterwards, we translators will do the rest of the work. It looks so simple. But the truth is, when Modi met Clinton, he mistakenly said, who are you? Instead of saying, how are you? Mr. Clinton was a bit shocked, but still managed to react with humor. Well, he said, I'm Hillary's husband. Then Modi said, me too. And then there was a long silence in the room. What we are saying is, we think communication is easy, but it is not as easy as it looks. The training that is provided should be appropriate so that it can go in the right direction. See, the small thing can make so much of mistakes. Alright, so I think it's time for us to break for tea, so then he can have some more tea and coffee and then more questions to him. We will be talking about the next thing, that what breaks communication. Alright? Welcome back after the break. There are a few things which I will make as an announcement. By the end of the workshop, I would also like you to write what you learned. So remember, when you are listening to me, you are listening with the intent that there is some objective that is in my mind and so should be in yours. And that was the purpose, that when we said that we want to improve on this particular thing, the purpose is while we interact with each other, we will see what all we have learned. And when I say that learning is not complete when only the participants learn. It's the resource person who's on the continuous evaluation and evolution, I would say, that I as an individual would also learn with the interactions with you. Alright, so the first session in which we had talked about communication, I said there are two parties which are involved in communication and we call it as interpersonal communication. When the communication happens with an individual, himself or herself, it's called as intrapersonal communication. In days' time, there are various reasons when intrapersonal communication happens. You react to the external stimuli, you react to the temperature, when you feel cold, you wear a dress so that you can combat with the coldness. It's intrapersonal. Intrapersonal is that when you think back, you cogitate, you think back what had happened with you, you introspect the whole day's job. It is intrapersonal. Sometimes people involved in soliloquy, that is, they speak themselves. Alright? And Madam said when she's angry, she speaks aloud in the room so that nobody's heard and others are saved. She will speak loud and her anger goes away. Okay? So this is a monologue sort of thing and nobody's listening, but she feels comfortable because the anger is over. Am I right when I say so that sometimes we speak all by ourselves? Not hurting anyone's sentiment. So I just said interpersonal, but then the communication that happened with us right now when we were 3 people sitting at a place and we were talking to each other, this was called as group communication. Okay? And very interestingly, that there is a communication that happens with the animals. What is that called? I think pets have become very common these days. I still not appreciate to have birds as pets because they have to fly. And I do not know how many of you have gone through my profile, but I'm those bird lover which I have started my one of the projects which says about saving the peacocks in Pilani. It rhymes also very well, so it's sort of alliteration. So I take, and with the group we take a lot of attempts to save the national bird. So what is that communication called? This is a question for you all. We have said interpersonal, intrapersonal, group communication, mass media communication, and what is this communication called? And some people say, these days we don't need a person. We communicate through our technology and with the technology. So this communication with the animal is called as extrapersonal communication. It's a term given which says about extrapersonal communication, and to say that whether the animals know human language or not is a big question. They react to our sentiments, and the communication, whatever is happening amongst the birds or animals, is more complicated than ours, or ours is more complicated, is again a point to be debated. Because if I talk about the ants making a formation, have you seen it moving in the line? We human beings cannot move in the line even when we are boarding for our flight, right? We go here and there. Or for the Republic Day bands and all that, it would take lots of efforts. These ants can move. The birds flying the formation. Amazing it is. So it is said that their communication is quite dexterous, it is quite complicated, and we yet to do a lot of research. Madam was just talking about the research being conducted about the young children, very young children, for their communication, and when they cry, what they are communicating, and there is a difference in their cries also. Okay, so there's a big research which is going on. Similarly, the research is also going on with the animal communication amongst themselves and the communication that's happening between human beings and animals. So those are types of communication. We also were talking about the fact that communication can be formal and informal. Right? What is the difference between formal communication and informal communication? What are the kind of words we are using? What's the kind of tone we are using? And you people had very interestingly talked about articulation. But can somebody tell me what is the difference between articulation and pronunciation, or are they both same? What is articulation and what is pronunciation?
Actually, when you clearly express yourself, that is being articulate.
Okay, alright.
When you pronounce, that's again depends upon how you
Yes, very good. So as the words come out of your mouth is articulation.
So sometimes there is an interruption of the sound coming from the mouth is called articulation. Does it have clarity? So if I have said the word bicycle to bicycle, my articulation is correct, bicycle, because it's coming out fine without interruption, but I am pronouncing it wrong. Right? There are few exercises, maybe it's not very helpful for you all, but for young children it's very helpful. That the words should be articulated clearly. The exercises like, if you just say it with me, you will understand what I am talking about, because if I just do it, you will not understand. Say the words with me, and I know it's little childlike activity, but it is fun. Say ding dong, ping pong. Okay, and we will say it in a way that we will raise the volume. Okay, so let's start. Ding dong, ping pong. 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 So this particular phrase, it just opens the vocal cords, and then when the words flow, they flow smoothly. Alright? And again, this is backed up by research. In the morning, there are few exercises after the brush, which we call as oral exercises, to put air in the mouth, which probably you will not find anywhere, and rotate the air within the mouth. Okay? And then the similar thing can be done with the tongue. Internal rotation, and outside, which you may not do it now, and which can be really helpful for the good articulation. And people have said, I do not know if you have seen the film as King's Speech.
Yes.
You have. So even at that age, the person had the responsibility, so he could, just put pebbles in the mouth, work with it, and come up with a good speech. So we have several exercises which can be very helpful, which can really improve many things, which you just talked in the morning session with me, saying that we face problem. It is nothing that we are born with a silver spoon always. We can always change. Some people are blessed with very nice quality of voice. Like Amitabh Bachchan. He has amazing quality of voice. Some of us can change with the practice. And it is also recommended that if you take the newspaper and read it loud in the morning, it is very helpful. As I say, that if you don't want to improve because we might think that now it doesn't really matter. But it matters a lot. If we can do that, maybe just a paragraph, read it loud, it can be very helpful for improving our articulation as well as the pronunciation. Wherever you have doubt about any word, go back, listen to it. It just takes few seconds, but it is just the interest of an individual that we can really go for the right kind of thing.
Nowadays we are seeing
Yeah. Yes. Right. So what I'm saying is, we just have to take the initiative. We'll talk about it. So now the next thing comes as what if it breaks. Now what I'm talking about, what if it breaks, is the communication if it breaks. Communication breaks for several reasons. My intended message is something, but the kind of information you got is something else. So what is the gap between, why this gap exists? If we are able to figure it out, I think communication will never break. For example, I was using, is my voice breaking? No. So when I say that because I was using difficult words you were not familiar with, the communication broke. That is one of the reasons. Communication could have broken because I was feeling hot and I was more bothered that that coat is irritating me. My attention would have been there. Similarly, each one of you have to come up with 3 reasons for break in communication. Write it fast in the notebook, whatever you have. Only 3 reasons, and we will elaborate on it. And I'll show you 2 video clippings just to support my argument that it breaks number of times. You continue writing, but I would just like to tell that the message can break because of the speaker's problem. For example, as soon as I saw, my interest went away that the number of participants are less. It's just the imaginative one. And I said, alright, probably will I be able to communicate. Your interest went away because you did not like the color of my sari, or you did not like my hairstyle. You did not pay attention. Alright, the communication can break because there is a lot of disturbance in the channel. So, there are places where the communication can break. I hope you have written these three of the reasons, any three of the reasons what you think as the reasons to break the communication. Have you written? Alright. इसको छोटा करके video में. You come to my pen, right? Alright. So they come down. Seagram Imperial Blue. Yes. Just play this. Sound is not there. आपका कोई और sound है?
अरे क्या नहीं तो खाना खाने बट लेकिन फूल है मैं बोल रहा हूँ you should try that out क्या नाम है ये लोटस नहीं लोटस जिसका खुशबू होती है खुशबू वाला फूल जैस्मिन मुझे इसको काटे थे तो रोज रोज दादी कल हम खाना खाने का secrets of beautiful super essence.
You understood this? Because of the sound problem? Actually this man, the husband, forgets the name of the wife. How can communication happen? So that is the fun of it. Alright, sound करेगा. एक 3 idiots करके एक और
Sir, a machine is anything that reduces human effort, sir. Will you please elaborate? Sir, हर वो चीज जो इंसान का काम आसान करे या वक्त बचाए वो मशीन है सर. गर्मी लगी, बटन दबाया, हवा चल, फैन, मशीन है सर. नीलो दूध आप अपने दोस्त के साथ बात कर सकते हैं, टेलीफोन, मशीन है सर. करोड़ों का हिसाब चुटकी में करता है, कैलकुलेटर, मशीन है सर. सर, एक्चुअली हम मशीनों से घिरे हुए हैं सर. पेन की निब से लेके पैन की जिप तक सब मशीन है सर. एक सेकंड डेफिनेशन क्या है सर? वही तो बता रहा हूँ सर. Anybody else? Yes.
Sir, machines are any combination of bodies so connected that their relative motions are constrained, and by which means force and motion may be transmitted and modified as a screw in its nut, or a lever arranged to turn about a fulcrum, or a pulley about its pivot, etc. Especially a construction more or less complex, consisting of a combination of moving parts or civil mechanical elements as wheels, levers, cams, etc.
क्या बात? Perfect. Please sit down.
Thank you. Thank you.
लेकिन सर मैंने भी तो वही बताया सर, आसान भाषा में.
आपको अगर सिंपल भाषा पसंद हो तो आर्ट्स एंड कॉमर्स कॉलेज ज्वाइन कीजिए.
लेकिन सर मतलब भी समझ में आना चाहिए. ऐसे किताबी डेफिनेशन रट के क्या फायदा?
आप किताब से ज्यादा जानते हैं. किताब में यही डेफिनेशन है और अगर आपको पास होना हो तो आप यही लिखेंगे.
लेकिन सर और भी तो किताबें हैं जिसमें
आसान भाषा में पढ़ जाएगी. So we were discussing about the machine. अरे तुम वापस क्यों आए हो?
सर कुछ भूल गया सर.
क्या?
Instruments that record, analyze, summarize, organize, debate and explain information that are illustrative, non-illustrative, hardbound, paperback, jacketed, non-jacketed, with forward introduction, table of contents, index that are intended for the enlightenment, understanding, enrichment, enhancement and education of the human brain through sensory route of vision, sometimes touch.
अरे कहना क्या चाहते हो?
किताबें सर, बुक्स. बुक्स भूल गया सर, ले लो.
तो सीधा सीधा नहीं कह सकते थे?
थोड़ी देर पहले कोशिश की थी सर, लेकिन आपको सीधा सीधा पसंद नहीं आया.
All examples are just illustrating how communication breaks. So for the first one, I mean, the first thing for getting the name, will wife get the communication? I mean, that was an exaggeration, but this was an advertisement for Absolute Vodka, which says about men will be men. Sorry, sir. Alright, so this is possible, and this is possible, but the communication broke. For the second one, what is it? Why communication broke in the second one? Use of difficult words? Alright, and it is shown, as I said, that sometimes people like to hear the difficult words, but at the same time, they are not able to understand. And that is what is the problem. So the 3 examples which each one of you have written, can you just read it out? What are the reasons?
Sometimes it is technological problem, such as
Technological problem, very good, and especially in online situations. There people are saying something, oranges and peaches, oranges, peaches. What is it that I am saying? Is it oranges and peaches or speeches? Yeah, speeches. So water relief. What did I say? Water relief. Water relief. Water. Water. So it's a confusion again because the way it's being said, it could be. And because of the technology, I am sure that there was miscommunication that had happened when you were over telephone. मैंने सोचा था, आपने ये कहा, but I did not say that. Number of times this happens. All right. The second one.
Second one, perhaps it could be not in this case, but generally how you say things also.
How you say the
Yes,
things.
how you deliver.
वाह, बहुत अच्छे बोले. What is it? Am I taunting at him? Yeah, वाह, बहुत अच्छे बोले. वाह, बहुत अच्छा बोले. There's a difference. There's a difference. Shabash, even the word shabash, how we say shabash makes a lot of difference. I hope you have seen in the film people start clapping. Shabash. So perfectly alright. Next one.
One maybe the topic is not of interest. That's when the breaking communication happens.
Yeah.
So
Can you
that's
give me
really-
an example when you had some workshop and the topic was not of your interest? Use of AI in something. Today we do not really know about it. I mean, things go beyond because I'm not used. Right? So maybe the topic is of your interest, and sometimes we don't know the basics. So how can we know the advanced thing?
Right.
Yeah, perfect.
Then another thing similar to what Sir said, like you're not really understanding what the speaker's really trying to deliberate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So there's a gap because we don't know the intention of the speaker.
Right.
Perfect. Alright. So 3 points have become 2 points. You see the difference. So that is also a communication gap. I said 3 points. They are telling me 2 points. Okay. So that's a communication gap. Alright. Carry on.
Okay, so basically what they're saying is the tone.
The tone. Yes.
Tone in
Do you
the-
have some other example or than what I had said of the tone?
in the manner of
Yeah.
how you communicate?
Yeah.
how you
No.
stress your words.
Yes. Yes. Stressing a particular word. I can see you. Can see you. Can see you. Right? There's a difference. Yeah.
Then I feel that what distracts a listener is distracting movements of the resource person. That loses one, you tend to lose the interest of your participants.
Correct. I hope right now it's
No, not
right.
We have resource persons who move about too much, or
Yes,
they
I
ask
also
too
have
much.
seen. Yes.
So then it tends to
Perfect. And you cannot say. You cannot say.
communicate it, but
Yeah.
then you start getting distracted.
Yes.
So
And
that
I
is
have seen there are some speakers who move so much, and if you tell them to stop, they forget what they have to say. That also happens because it's a movement that in the rhythm probably they have learned things. Okay. Yeah.
And the third thing may be the interpersonal relations. The listener and the resource person may not get along, or for some reason there must be some. They must be
Got
a
it.
different way
So do you
of-
understand? Madam had these experiences and she's talking about it. Alright? So that helps, and that's what I wanted, that the previous experiences. Something which was very stupid or maybe was not in our control, the resource person. It is possible that we had an argument or something, and we don't want to, agree with whatever the resource person said. Close mind. We will be definitely close-minded when the speaker is speaking. Perfect.
Having opinion on something.
Having opinion on something. We are all prejudiced. Alright? And we have a book called Men Are From Mars and women from Venus. Alright, opinionated, or we have also formulated our opinion. And the other day, I was just in your Sikkim only, I saw a vehicle which said, women pilot, don't follow me. So I said,
Exactly what happened. You were following the car.
yeah. Alright, very good. The second one?
By giving introduction.
By giving?
Introduction, self-introduction.
Self-introduction, okay. Alright. Third one?
Smileness also.
Smile. Smile, does it interfere in the communication? Smile? Or does it help? Does it help, or is it other way around?
I'm just like,
It's too much. Ah, she's I think very subtly. Every time I look at her, she doesn't show her teeth, but there's a smile on her face. Alright, so there are two things. One is, it also depends on the topic what we are talking about, and if I smile, talking about a very serious issue, okay? And then if there is a smile, probably communication is breaking. I mean, what the hell? It's a very serious issue, right? Otherwise, smile can make everything very conducive. Both the parties would be eager to listen to each other if there is a smile. You know, as I said, she's smiling. No, it makes me more comfortable when she smiles. But sometimes, if she's giving a presentation and I smile too much, then probably there's something wrong, right? Yes, the next one. Oh, please clap for him. He has given such a good point.
Not remembering a specific word.
Yes, not remembering, groping for words. Okay.
Hesitation.
Hesitation. Why do we hesitate while we speak? Okay, this is a good question. Why do we hesitate?
When we're nervous or unsure.
We are unsure. Okay. We are not confident. So, do we buy confidence from MG Market or something? Okay. If you have a question, very good. Why do we hesitate?
not ensure you're not confident enough to.
Alright. So for this, I will just say practice, practice, practice. And whenever you are at the command, you are the best person to communicate. At least have that confidence. And that is why I like Nike logo. What is it?
Just do it.
Right. We'll see the repercussions of it, but just do it. Do it your best. Okay. Very nice.
If somebody uses difficult words.
Use difficult words. Fantastic.
I share it with Ma'am Chuki, that is lack of connection between the listener and the hearer.
Mm-hmm.
One would be that, one is lack of attention,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one, as pointed out by you, madam, that is maybe something is bothering, so there will be a lack of.
Okay. So to that I can add, suppose you have ailing son at home, he just had fever, alright, but there was a mandate that you have to come to this workshop. All the time you would be thinking, now however interesting I'm trying to make for you, I know, like you see that resource person is putting in a tent, but then your mind is not here, and I would never know what is the reason, right? So that could be the reason which are unforeseen. There's something that is going beyond. Perfectly alright. So, fantastic. Next.
The first one is lack of attention on the part of listener.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, use of complicated words.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3 is means of communication, how you communicate.
Alright. So, do you think that communicating through the online media is better than the physical mode? No. But just imagine, there's a speaker who's speaking to himself or herself, not bothering about how much you're receiving. Now you cannot escape. You have become the prisoners. You have to listen, and you have to have that smile also, courtesy, isn't it? The speaker is very reputed speaker, so you cannot go away. But what happens in online media?
COVID workshops.
COVID workshops. Put it on, go away, don't be visible, right? So, sometimes things like, yeah, the examples are very good. The truth is truth. Am I correct? The truth is truth, yeah. Very good points. Yeah.
The dialect or the way in which the speaker pronounces words or the way he speaks normally, obviously, like Madam also said, topics which are not of interest, avoiding topic, and preoccupied mind of the listener.
What we said, huh? So for this, I have a very nice example. One is that, and nothing against a particular caste or religion or something, But people from Bengal, West Bengal, I had been there for several years, so they speak in a different way, right? So what happened was there were some bhajan for which the invitation was there, and the person invited that come for bhojin, it's tomorrow, like bhajan is bhojin, and you know Rajasthanis, their mind is only on bhojin, right? So when the bhajans were enchanted and it kept on going on, this guy is very hungry and he says, when is it that he's going to have food? Which was never there, but bhajan became bhojam. Similarly, one person, he gave a presentation and came back to the seat, and this person said, congratulations, and he said, shame to you. Rather than saying same to you. I mean, it is not an exaggeration, but it rarely happens, but this is what was a disaster. So I think the examples which you have quoted, I could feel the illustration of it. Yeah, next one.
It is same as what everybody has said. Tone, the way how you communicate, how you say things. Sometimes you might just say, you are trying to say something in a nice way, but when your voice is little raised, so that then the other person might think that the speaker who is trying to communicate is angry, but actually it's not. So it depends on how you speak, the tone. And then also body language. If somebody is telling me something and I show lack of interest in listening at all, so that also might give a wrong communication can break. Another is also depends on if a person gives a very long speech, so even if you're interested to listen also, after a point, you just lose interest.
Yeah, alright, very nice points, very nice points. Next please.
Ma'am, when there is no communication at all, or when there is no response.
Okay.
So then
no feedback.
Yeah,
So
no
what is
feedback.
feedback that comes to a point we will talk about feedback.
And then distraction, of course. When you're distracted to something else you're not listening to.
Now Aishwarya Rai walks in, whatever I am talking,
distraction.
I mean the attention will go to her.
And of course, the very commonly used the complexity of words. So when there's a complex words being used, I don't think so you can be there.
Yeah, it happens sometimes that there was a workshop which was happening and something happened, so the attention from the speaker went away. Like I just said, Aishwarya Rai walking in, definitely the attention will go to her. I don't know, I find her a rare beauty, so maybe I just took that as an example. But even, an important personality, why? Even if a dog walks in, our attention will go. Because I have seen in the classroom, sometimes a pigeon gets in. And students, how hard I tell them that please don't pay attention to this and pay attention to what I am saying, they are not able to. So that is very important. Yeah. So I was talking about feedback. Can anyone define what feedback is? Is feedback important in the communication loophole? The loop, is it important? Yes. It's very important. So the response of the listeners to the speaker is called as feedback. And how do you give it? Just now you're giving it. Just nodding. Yes. And also smiling. Yes. And when I say, did you get it? You say yes. That's a feedback. Sometimes what happens is the feedback, because of some pressure, people don't come out of the right feedback. It's a different story because I've seen in the workshops, when there is a response from individuals, it's coming out well, but when it comes to writing, the feedback might be different. Okay? So, if we give the right kind of feedback, the listener might change the stance or the ways so that the improvement can be done simultaneously. So, that feedback is very important. So, the response of the listener on the speaker, which could be given in form of words, it could be given through non-verbal gestures, is important. Yes.
First is, if you feel the listener is not listening to you properly, then you might just, the communication might break. First is that. Second, I wrote...
Very good idea.
Second, I wrote is about sounds. That can be internal and external. Sometimes you're thinking about something else. You're mentally absent. And external sounds, sometimes I'm communicating to you and there's construction work going on. So that might also break the communication. And third is, if the topic is not of my interest.
Perfect. I would agree, in 3 of the examples I can give. The first one which you said was?
If the person is not listening to you properly, if you feel...
So right now, how many people are there? There are very few people, okay? And I see most of you paying attention to what I'm saying. So sometimes what happens is, if there is one person who's not paying attention, my attention goes more on that person, which is a wrong thing actually. I should consider the others and not the person, because then why should we give importance to the person who's ignoring? And the others also get irritated that you are paying attention, so the attention should go to this. But this becomes as a natural thing that everyone should be involved. So that's a fantastic thing. When you talk about the external noise, actually the barriers to communication, whatever is the impediment in the communication channel is called noise in general. But noise is an external factor, as she says that there are sounds that are coming because of the construction work. It becomes a difficult, and I would be fighting with those sounds to make myself audible. And after a while, you know, my energy will also dissipate. So that becomes a problem, yes. Doesn't matter, you are audible. It's working.
For me personally, what would break a communication for me is accent, thick accent, and loud music, and if the other person starts assuming assumptions.
So, if you have heard about endomorphs, ectomorphs, and mesomorphs, these are the body types which people have, right? So, those who are tall are called as ectomorphs. Endomorphs are little plump people, and mesomorphs are the ones which have athletic body, right? So, what happens is, this is research which has been done, and it's not me. We somehow have our prejudices, or we have our notions automatically made for such people. So if I'm fat, dark and small, we will already think that what she's going to do, which is absolutely wrong, but however we try, it comes naturally to us. What she says as preconceived notions. So this happens, which should be avoided completely, okay? Few things which we initially think about, probably after a while, listening to the people, we should have our opinion accordingly. Alright, the last one.
First would be the body language. The other person doesn't want to continue the conversation. Second one is boring topic, extremely boring topics.
Okay.
The conversation has gone to very boring subjects.
Hey, you are not pointing at me, no? Okay.
And then another one is uncomfortable vibes. Like when you
uncomfortable vibes, yes. I think we ignored that. Uncomfortable vibes. Now that we cannot define. These uncomfortable vibes, they are there, but you cannot define. In fact, in your profession, you would be finding it quite often that there are those negative vibes which are coming, which are intangible. We cannot even name that. What is it? I think that's a very good example. Okay, so going further and elaborating on the fact that this is what is happening, we have another exercise because you have sat for some time now, 40 minutes or so. Please volunteer, 5 of you. The rest will sit here. 5 of the volunteers will just raise the hand and come over here. I will tell you what we need to do. 5 people. Alright, let me choose them. So we start with you, sir. The second one is you. Alright. Third is you. One amongst you, anyone. And the 5th one is you. Right? So maybe you can come forward. I'll tell you what is to be done. The rest are the viewers. We have to clap also, no? So 5 of you, please come here. We'll start with him. Or should it start with somebody else? One of you? Alright, let's start with him. Let's start with her, sorry. We'll start with you. Okay, I'll show a picture. And what picture depicts will be told to the next person. Then the next person. Like, you cannot ask questions. What did you say? So you will explain. They will not see the picture. 4 of them will not see the picture. You will see the picture. The rest of these people will see the picture. Alright? What story you make out of the picture, how you explain the picture, at least there should be 5 to 8 lines when you are explaining that picture, right? And this explanation, that explanation will go to the next person. Okay, we start you, the next person is you, 3rd is you, 4th is you, and the 5th one is you. And you cannot ask questions one after another, they have to give the information. And let's see what happens when the message goes to the last person, how the person talks about it. So you will understand. The rest of you can go out and somebody will call you. So maybe you are sitting there, I will let you know that call the first person, second person and so on. So right now you keep sitting. You can go out and please don't listen to what is being said. I will tell you, you will understand. So please ensure that these, that is it, closing the door. So there is a picture. You are going to explain this picture, what it is. Though when I prepared this chart, I had something in mind, but how she is going to interpret this, the whole thing. These were some goals of something you would understand, and its interpretation can be yours. Completely on you, completely on your creative skills. I will show it to you. Okay? Whatever you have understood it as, you can take 2 minutes more for your interpretation. Your interpretation can be different. Alright? So it's not that there is going to be one interpretation, but you would see women, most of it. Are you able to see it? So your eyesight is fine? Alright, so we will begin. Okay? Okay, try to make it a little long, the explanation. Yeah, whatever you saw, if you make story out of it, you explain that. It's completely on you, there is nothing called wrong. Just say your name first to everyone. And just tell the person who comes, but others should also listen. Okay, that's it. Yeah, you can call the first person, please. They're recording what you're saying and continue. You cannot ask questions, huh? Get whatever you want.
Women empowerment, the opportunity for women, and women empowerment, equal opportunity for women, and it also talks about opportunity for the women, not only when I talk about women, I'm not only talking about working class, but also the childhood itself. How the women is developed at all, what are the bring about development in women. Okay. 6 pictures which depicts these things, basically the messages, and it also talks about justice for the woman.
Okay, call. She told you, we communicate.
What I'm Sunamdenka, so I'll be just telling you what I was told by Ms. Samya. So she told me that she saw slides wherein there were like 6 ladies. 6 pictures.
No, don't answer.
6 pictures, okay. And those 6 pictures were basically the bottom line story was about women empowerment, women opportunities to the women. Okay? And then what it depicted was basically empowering women, not only at the stage of where they come into the workforce, but also from the stage of childhood. Alright? So right from childhood till the time they join the force, whatever, from the daily lives, women has to be empowered, and justice for women, basically. And that's what I could get.
Alright, thank you. Claps.
What CS told me is there were 6 slides showing the children's empowerment, right? And that slide shows to how one gets empowerment. He will see with just the older rates. So that's all about.
Say it loudly so that everyone hears.
So what Sir communicated to me was there were 6 slides showing stages from childhood to woman growing up, and how she's empowered from childhood to her age of being a woman.
Please clap. Thank you so much. Alright.
Lights.
Slides.
Slides, okay. There are 6 slides of,
She said lights, no?
Yes,
Yeah.
I heard lights.
Yeah.
So there were 6 slides showing the phases of growing of a woman from infancy to adulthood.
Okay, alright. That's it? Okay, please clap. Now you saw it. You did something wrong. But this is just the example of our real life. This is what happens. Now how it started and what happened, you would know. So this was the picture that was shown to everyone. Alright? And the last picture which came up was that there is a progress which is being shown from an infant to the older woman, right? That is what we got. So now you tell me why this happens. Who was the culprit? I will not say anything from my face. My side. Alright. So anyone can be culprit. Anywhere there can be distortion, more distortion. Distortions were happening. From one after another, distortions were happening. But there were some places it was happening more. And this is what and see, I checked her about slides, but she heard it as lights. So one is listening, one is the perception. Our perception is different. Our thinking is different. Each one of us are different from the others. Idiosyncrasies are different. That is what we call it. So the perception and everything, that is what makes even communication very difficult. So what task you are doing today is very, very difficult. Because when you are listening to your clients, you are listening something. The intent is something. The break of information without the fault of anyone is something else. Do you all agree to this? And that is what was the reason for me taking up this exercise and letting you know. I will read out something for you all, because here you were a little restricted thinking that is it that you are to be blamed. It is not that you are to be blamed, because as I said, the individuality is something which we can respect, and it is different for different person. And that is why we come up with different kind of things. I will just read it out for you. And I hope you would enjoy. This is a communication memo from CEO to manager. So there are 6 levels. What had happened, you will understand. Today at 11 o'clock, there will be a total eclipse of the sun. This is when the sun disappears behind the moon for 2 minutes. As this is something that cannot be seen every day, time will be allowed for employees to view the eclipse in the parking lot. Staff should meet in the lot at 10 to 11. When I will deliver a short speech introducing the eclipse and giving some background information, safety goggles will be available at a small cost. Okay? Now a memo from manager to department head, what it goes. Today at 10 to 11, all staff should meet in the car park. This will be followed by total eclipse of the sun, which will appear for 2 minutes. For a moderate cost, this will be made safe with goggles. The CEO will deliver a short speech beforehand to give us all some information. This is not something that can be seen every day. Memo from a department head to the floor manager. The CEO will today deliver a short speech to make the sun disappear for 2 minutes in the form of an eclipse. This is something that cannot be seen every day. So staff will meet in the car park from 10 or 11. This will be safe if you pay a moderate cost. A memo from floor manager to supervisor. Sir, 10 or 11 staff are to go to the car park today, where the CEO will eclipse the sun for 2 minutes. This doesn't happen every day. It will be safe as usual. It will cost you. And finally, the memo from supervisor to staff. Some staff will go in the car park today to see CEO disappear. It is pity that doesn't happen every day. And again, I would say this is not an exaggeration, but such a thing happened many times, and therefore what we can do, we can increase the transfer station. This is because of the number of transfer stations.
It's like the Chinese whisper.
Chinese whisper. You whisper something, and by the end of it, it comes as something else. And the best thing is when women say, "Please don't tell me to anyone," right? You don't have to do anything, right? It will be spread like a fire, and in fact, it will come back to you, but in a distorted form. And then you will say, "Oh, I did not mean this. I meant something else," but now you cannot tell to anyone. So this is what what happens, the information gets distorted. What we have to do for this? What are the preemptive measures we can do not to distort the information? Direct communication. So from the tall structure today, the structures are coming as the flat structures in the organization. What else? What else can we do? We should be knowing the audience. Who are our audience, and therefore keeping them in mind, we should go in the right direction. We should understand, now we get to know who the audience is, we can do the analysis of the audience and go for the right kind of communication. Next. Yeah, go for the writing part. He's saying that go for the writing part, so there are less miscommunication. But writing, which one is easier for you? Oral communication or writing, written communication? Written is easier? Why so?
To save all the headache like you just had.
No, but the headache, more than headache, I mean, when I'm writing, I have to be very cautious. How many times do you write when you have to give it to somebody? How many times you check? Not many, but then today ChatGPT is helping us. Of course, there are a few nations who are saying that let's stay away from it. In fact, my profession of teaching students how to write reports is also at a stake, because now they have way to write the reports. But I hope plagiarism checks are something which are in good place. Okay, how to avoid failures?
But keep it short and simple.
Exactly. How many of you know that how many types of presentations we have? How many types of presentation we have? I don't know if you have heard about it. We can read from the manuscript. There is a presentation which we can read from the manuscript. It's perfectly alright. There's no harm. I can just read it out. But suppose I was taking this workshop and I was reading it out, what was the problem? Attention span, I would have not had the eye contact. I would have not had the opportunity to talk to him. Right? So that would have been a problem. But otherwise, reading from the manuscript, memorized presentation which is memorized. I am talking from my memory. The third one is impromptu. What is impromptu presentation? Can you come over here? Please come. Alright, talk about the first day experience of yours in academy or judiciary services. Am I given her a wrong topic? Alright, talk about it.
First day in academy, I joined on 21st of March 2022. First day I met, I think there was an interview going on that I can remember. The interview going on, so all the judges were here for an interview. So I got to meet every one of them. That is the first day. And I think everybody was busy for the interview, so I just came to the library and sat and I read few. I was just reading few books, and that was my first day.
Fantastic. Please clap for her. Thank you. So this is what is called as impromptu presentation, spur of the minute. Like she said, that keep it short. The best thing is whenever you are given a chance, because it might happen that you are in a meeting where you ought to say something about the person who's retiring, okay, for superannuation. So you are called to speak something. It's better because you're not prepared. There are chances that you might get into pratfall. So to avoid it, keep it short and sweet, and that's always appreciated. What do we do for that? Usually put some points. If I had given you the topic, you would have thought about it till you were walking here. You thought about it there, but if there were some pointers and you can do it. Okay, that's very important. That is impromptu. So there are, and the other one I said reading from the manuscript. So there are, or the last one is extemporaneous. Extemporaneous presentation is a well-prepared presentation where you know that you will be using slides and giving the presentation. In the book by Luca, who has talked about the speeches, he has used the word, because some people use extemporary thinking that it is at the spur of the moment. Okay, so Stephen Luca has said, I also have said in my book, that the presentations which are well prepared are extemporaneous presentation. The presentation which I am doing now with the PPT, I know how much time is to be taken, is extemporaneous presentation. So there are 4 types of presentation. Do you tell me, when do you read it from the manuscript? When this manuscript reading is important? When is that important?
When you're not familiar with your subject.
When you're not familiar, and also that verbal Each word is important, right? And I don't know if you have heard Steve Jobs' Stanford speech when it was given for the passing out students. He wrote this speech himself about his life and had given that speech, but it was reading from the manuscript. He read from the manuscript, but it was his own speech. Then, what is the key term? That you ought to go through the speech before you give the presentation. Otherwise, it will become as something which was in 3 Idiots. You remember that scene in 3 Idiots? There was few changes which were made and it was made very funny.
Yes.
So that is very important. I am going to take it up and would like to ask 3 of you to read one of the speeches. Those people who have not come forward till now, you have to read a speech which I give to you, and this will be read as reading from the manuscript. Okay? And as I said, 5 people have already participated. Oh, she is happy. I thought, why is she happy? She said, because I have participated in the previous exercise, I am exempted now. I mean, look at that. He is happy too. Okay. So I am going to get that particular speech. Can we get a photocopy of that? Okay, I will just give it to you. Alright, so what you have to do is, we were talking about pronunciation, articulation, making proper eye contact and everything. You will get a chance to do that when you are speaking that out. Okay, so those people who have already done it, need not, and it's just 3 of you who can do that right now, reading from the manuscript. Tell me the instances when you have heard reading from the manuscript. When have you heard it? 15th August, Prime Minister, reading from the manuscript, perfectly alright, that's not a problem. 26th January, if there is any change in the policies, reading from the manuscript, right? So reading from the manuscript happens when the information is very significant. I would also say when we are giving extemporaneous presentations, that time also you can have something from reading from manuscript, some part of it like I did. I know the story of Mori, I could have told you, but I thought that, you know, by reading the verbatim, it will be all the more important. Just 2 copies. So who's the first one to do it? Reading from the manuscript, and it's really interesting. The passage is very interesting. So, you want to do it? But did you participate earlier? So, yeah. We will just get some more copies. Alright. I think by the time we get the copy of it, I will come to the next one as the... Come to the next slide. Next slide. Okay, so I was just talking about the communication is important in life. Do you think that the time can come when we don't communicate at all? Have you think about it now? In the day's time, in what all activities do you indulge in where communication is happening? Today when you came, maybe if you came by a cab, you communicated with the driver, right? You communicated with the children. The time you took the toothpaste, because you had seen an advertisement which was in your mind, you bought Colgate or Promise or something. It was a result of communication. The toxin which you heard, now remember the word toxin. It's about the alarm bell. I am not saying TOXIN, okay? You heard, that was a communication to you. And when you're sleeping also you're communicating. What? Dreams. You are thinking. I don't think so in our life there are any people who do not dream. All is, he forgets his dream. But most of us remember some part of it and we have the day accordingly. Whether, you know, we had a bad dream and that's why we will be very cautious that day. We start over. The dress what we wear is communicating something. You get it? The dress what she wears, the dress what I wear. You can say madam is a little traditional because she is adorning sari. Okay? I mean, how much truth is there in this, but then we have something getting communicated. Or I have taken it very seriously that senior people will be sitting, I should be in a dress like this. I will not be in a western attire. That was in my mind. So it's communicating, it's a result of communication. You know, you're nodding, now I'm speaking, you are listening, so everything is communication and it is to resolve conflicts, it's for relationship building, it is for expressing, it should be, sharing the emotional feeling, keeping few things to ourselves, and as I said, we are communicating most with the mobile phones today. Alright, next slide. So, communication is vital in all our life. We were just talking about the barriers. Systematically, I have just put it in this slide. And everything is revolving through this. Here we take a break and give it to 2 more people who would like to speak it out. You would take it. And you would take it. I would just like to give it to you. You need not, but you can read it on your own. Alright, so there is one particular speech and we want to see what is the impact of it from reading from the minister. The rest of the people who are sitting have to evaluate this particular presentation. What you can just have a quick reading so that it's easy for you. You will evaluate and talk about all the things which we had been talking of. That how the person is doing with the eye contact, the non-verbal cues, the intonation, the passion, the impact of it, the pronunciation, the articulation, everything you have to talk about it. Okay? When somebody said that the non-verbal also is important while the person is speaking, it is just not the eye contact, but there are many other things. The systematic study of all non-verbal communication is called as kinesis. We have a branch related to it. The systematic study of eye contact is called oculesis. The systematic study of touch is called haptics. Chronomics for the time. The objects, what you carry, also communicate a lot. The earrings, what you are wearing, I am wearing, it's communicating a lot. None of you is wearing something which is very conspicuous. I mean, people wear such large things. But why did you not wear it today? You are in a professional setting, you thought that it is not the right thing to wear. And nobody is wearing glaring things. Everyone is with a subtle thing. So that artifacts also communicate. The car in which you are traveling communicates. The bag which you are carrying, the perfume you are wearing, everything communicates. So when we are talking about non-verbal cues, the distance between 2 people, and the study is called as proxemics. So we have study for all the non-verbal cues. There's a very interesting book which I would like to mention to you. It's called as Human Watching by Desmond Morris. And it speaks so much about non-verbal cues that it is very difficult for us today to interpret each non-verbal cues. Because as I said, when we are quiet, the emotions are coming from our skin. Each pore of our body communicates. And we cannot be quiet. We cannot not communicate. So we are communicating at every point. Alright, so let's start, and as I said, we will have this presentation and the evaluation will be done by the viewers. Alright, so who's coming first? You want to go there? Okay, so do you know why he's choosing this? People say that when you are here, you're more nervous. So when he goes there, he will not fall, he will bank on the podium. I mean, it's called as lectern, right? People call it as podium, but that's a lectern, and he will bank on the lectern. So, go ahead.
India versus India. There are 2 Indias in this country. One India is straining at the beach, eager to spring forth and live up to all the adjectives that the world has been shouting recently upon us. The other India is the leisure. One India says, give me a chance and I'll prove myself. The other India says, prove yourself first and maybe then you will have a chance. One India lives in the optimism of hearts. The other India lurks in the skepticism of our minds. One India wants, the other India hopes. One India leads, the other India follows. The conversations are on the rise. With each passing day, more and more people from the other India have been coming over this side. And quietly, while the world is looking, a pulsating, dynamic new India is emerging. An India whose whose faith in success is far greater than its failure, than its fear of failure, and India no longer boycotts foreign-made goods but buys out the companies and makes them instead. History, they say, is a bad motorist. It rarely ever signals its inventions when it is taking a turn. This is that rarely ever moment. History is turning a page. For more than half a century, our nation has sprung, stumbled, run, fallen, rolled over, got up, ducked herself, and cantered, sometimes lurched on. But today, we begin our 60th year of free nation. The ride has brought us to the edge of the time's great precipice, and one India, a tiny little voice at the break of the head, is looking down at the bottom of the ravine and hesitating. The other India is looking up at the sky and saying, it's time to fly.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Please clap for him. He said it so well. Bachchan has said, actually the speech is his, but I tell you, he has done such beautiful job. Alright, fantastic. So the second speaker has more challenge now. Who's going to be the second speaker? It would be better if you come here, so that we can see if you're nervous or not.
India versus India. There are two Indias in this country. One India is training at the leash, eager to spring forth and live up to all the adjectives that the world has been showering recently upon us. The other India is the leash. One India says, give me a chance and I'll prove myself. The other India says, prove yourself first and then maybe we'll give you a chance. One India lives in the optimism of our hearts. The other India lurks in the skepticism of our minds. One India wants, the other India hopes. One India leads, the other India follows. But conversations are on the rise. With each passing day, more people from the other India have been coming over to this side. And quietly, while the world is looking, a pulsating, dynamic new India is emerging. An India whose faith in success is far greater than its fear of failure. An India that no longer boycotts foreign-made goods, but buys out the companies that makes them instead. History, they say, is a bad motorist. It rarely signals its intentions when it is taking a turn. This is that rarely ever moment. History is turning a page. For more than half a century, our nation has sprung, stumbled, run, fallen, rolled over, got up, ducked herself, and cantered, sometimes lurched on. But today, as we begin our 60th year as a free nation, the ride has brought us to the edge of time's great precipice. And one India, a tiny little voice at the back of the head, is looking down at the bottom of the ravine and hesitating. The other is looking up the sky and saying, it's time to fly.
Fantastic. The only thing is when they lose their cool and there's a problem. So the last speaker now? Yes. So we clap for him before he comes to the yes.
India versus India. There are two Indias in this country. One India is training at the leash, eager to spring forth and live up to all the adjectives that the world has been showering recently upon us. The other India is the leash. One India says, give me a chance and I'll prove myself. The other India says, prove yourself first and maybe then you'll have a chance. One India lives in the optimism of our hearts. The other India lurks in the skepticism of our minds. One India wants, the other India hopes. One India leads, the other India follows. But conversations are on the rise. With each passing day, more people from the other India have been coming over to this side. And quietly, while the world is looking, and a pulsating dynamic new India is emerging. An India whose faith in success is far greater than its fear of failure. And an India that no longer boycotts foreign-made goods but buys out the companies that makes them instead. History, they say, is a bad motorist. It rarely ever signals its intentions when it is taking a turn. This is that rarely ever moment. History is turning a page. For more than half a century, our nation has sprung, stumbled, run, fallen, rolled over, got up, doctored herself, and cantered, sometimes lodged on. But today, as we begin our 60th year as a free nation, the right has brought us to the edge of this time's great precipice, and one India, a tiny little voice at the back of the head, is looking down at the bottom of a ravine and hesitating. The other is looking up sky and saying, it's time to fly.
Fantastic. So, what I'm saying is, communication is not easy. As the second participant said that she will be talking sitting there, because that initial hitch and hesitation is in all of us. We want to avoid. So it said that to bring out this, you must have confidence and you should always grab the opportunities whenever it comes. The thing is, when we make mistakes, when we are early in our careers, people forgive. But as we grow up and climb up the ladder, then the mistakes become grave. But as I had already said, that too is human and it is permissible everywhere, that confidence we should have. Okay? So I think three of them have done a fantastic job. I will not say that this person was better than the other one, but each one of them had their better points. Is there something significant that the audience has observed that if they had kept this particular point in mind, they would have been better? Anything? Eye contact for first I think was able to manage the eye contact. For the second two, the eye contact was the problem. Now these second two will also tell us, were they nervous? Yes. Now, see the number of audience, we have such less and we have become friends. Right? So still we are nervous. This nervousness is a natural nervousness. It's not that you are going to be put on guillotine. Neither I am going to be too critical about you. You know that I am motivating you as a speaker, but still there lies something which is the nervousness in all of us, and it's very natural. Okay, we have to overcome this nervousness by different ways. The comment which I made for him and said that he will stand there because of this reason, it is again backed by the research. The way I am standing and speaking to you expose my body completely to you. And if I'm nervous, if my legs shake, it's visible. But when your legs were shaking there, because that is one of the signs of nervousness, nobody is able to see. The people which I carry would be, shivering like this. So that again is a sign of nervousness. So what we have to do is, we have to practice and always see that we are the perfect people. We are going to be the best one while we give our presentation. Think positive and just pay attention to what you are saying. Audience is always very receptive. Unless there is some serious problem, audience is not going to be critical. They are there to appreciate you and not to criticize you. Okay? So if we go ahead with such mindset, probably we will be able to perform better. There are butterflies in the stomach, but they will fly formation. Is what is a great statement that has been said. In the beginning, everyone is nervous, but as you grow, as you say things, you see that positive things in the eyes of the people. You start getting your confidence back, and you say, now I can go on. Impromptu presentation had a different thing altogether. So every type of presentation has its limitation, but we can overcome it. Alright, coming back to our PPTs, and we were talking about the barriers. Do we need a break? Or how are we going to do it? We can continue? Is everyone fine? Do you have some plans?
How long will this start?
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to decide, because the director just said that we can finish the talk by 1:30 or 1 to 2 or so. So that is why I thought that we can continue and then directly go for lunch. See, everyone is so happy. Yes, we heard it now. Yes,
actually heard him. Oh my God! Right from the beginning, he was sad because he thought he has to be caged for till 4 o'clock. Had I told him earlier, he would have been freer now. Okay. So that's they are noticing now. I am not noticing. So maybe we can continue till 1:30 or so, and then probably 10-15 minutes we can have some feedback. That would be good because you people are also participating. So we just talk about these barriers. The next thing which we have to say is the glass ceiling thing, which is very important. So what do you understand by glass ceiling? And it's not only for women. It can be for everyone. These are unforeseen barriers, and this is how I attach it with the barriers to communication. In the organization, you will not realize that you are not climbing your ladder because of what reason. These are unforeseen glass ceiling things, and it's to climb up there, you have to do extra efforts. So, people have prejudices against differently able people, have prejudices when it's women. Let me just say it, okay? You might refute, that's okay, but there are some problems. And if I see a pregnant woman, and I will not give her responsibility thinking of something, not about the individuals, okay? So when we say that assertiveness isn't a quality that we easily inherit, we say that one has to be assertive, and there is a line between being assertive and being aggressive. So first we have to see that what is the difference between these two. What is assertiveness and what is aggressiveness? And which one is to be liked more? What is aggressive? And people mistaken, when we say that you ought to be assertive, they become aggressive. So what is it like? How do you perceive being aggressive and being assertive?
There's a certain sense of violence associated with
aggressiveness. Okay, alright. Some kind of violence, or maybe the limits are little more.
With aggression, I think there is not much reasoning involved.
Yeah, we lose our cool, right? Like a mother, when we are reacting to a child's performances or anything, we become aggressive, not assertive. We ought to be assertive at that particular time. The aggressiveness comes. Alright. Can you also say that we are not assertive? And can you recollect any of the events in your life when you thought that if you were assertive that time, things would have not taken this turn? Do you remember some of the events? And as I said, it could be with men also. It could be with you, it could be with your child, or it could be with something else. Do you remember any of the events? So when I say that what we can do, we have to alter our volume. In a way, women has always been so docile from time immemorial. When I got married, and if I was talking in the same tone and volume, बहुत गंदी बहू है ना? थोड़ा भी polite नहीं है, जोर-जोर से बोलती है. अब they do not know about my profession. My profession is that. When we teach, we ought to raise our volume a bit. And I don't know why, but I had raised it more than required. So by the end of the day, I get so much exhausted. I was not even using the aids also. I don't know why, but I was hesitant to use aids. I thought that my communication will go bad if I use aids. So it took me some time to get used to this one. So when we say that you have to alter your volume, volume is related to your assertiveness. Yeah. So be assertive, but don't be aggressive. As you raise your volume, it becomes aggressive. And the tone and inflection can dramatically alter the results of communication. This women can do beautifully well. I remember, I realized my potential of being women and getting the work done. Bhaiya, please kar do na. Thank you so much, bhaiya. This is what we do. And the job was done. Am I right there? Yes. It's just our tone. Karoge ki nahi? Bataun क्या आपको? I mean, that's not the right way. Earlier, people were doing it just because you're a girl. Today, they will not do. But if you're polite, definitely you'll get your job done. And similar thing happens in the organization also. Dominant, we embody a weak, passive, and submissive stance. How many of you will agree when Dorfman has talked about a framework
that when he sees women in general, see, I'm not talking about the exceptions. When they see the women, they are usually not very straightforward in the looks. Even the advertisements what we have today, she will be shown as a little docile, looking down. Her stances, I have evaluated number of advertisements and I've seen that the most of the time she will not be looking into the eyes. And she will be looking somewhere else. People think she's stylish when she does that. Most of the pictures would be like this, or have you seen this?
Your pictures.
Yeah, that's right. So when we say that how it should be done looking straight in the eyes, and the stance should be something which is reflected as a confident one. Straighten your back and lengthen your neck and spine to straighten rather than walking like this. And this can apply to men also. Right? The walk, the stance, everything is very important and we don't pay attention to it. Because my mom has always told me that when you sit, you have to sit like this because that's women-like, and sit, cuddling up. We don't sit like this. And today you witnessed something. I was asked to sit there. Now what was my reaction? No, I am not the person. Why? Because somewhere in my mind, the dominance which was given to me. I come from a very traditional family of Rajasthan, where we cover our head, do not look into the eyes of our father-in-law, and even for the husband, we don't have to maintain eye contact initially in presence of everyone. And there was a time when my husband called me in his organization, I said that I want to see what your setup is and everything, because my husband, he was staying in Calcutta, I was in Pilani. He was a very senior person, and I said, I want to come to your organization. This I suddenly remembered that what he did for me. He said, I will not tell anyone that you're my wife. You are a journalist. You come to the office if you want to see. And I agreed that time because I was very young, 26 years. I went. But I felt so bad that why have I been treated like this? He told me that in his office there is no culture of bringing the wives, and they feel it is a little demeaning, which again is not acceptable by me, but this is what is happening. This happened with me. So when we say that the dominance is still by men, there are a number of societies today where the dominance has changed. I don't know how it is in Sikkim, but I think Sikkim is really...
You can make out.
I can make out, sir. I can make out, yeah. Yeah. So that way, it's quite different than what we have in Rajasthan, right? So, and it's a good thing. It's good thing. Because I have a friend from Shillong and I got to know about many things, and I think I found that in Sikkim also it's quite similar. Alright, so we just say that you have to be better. And as I said, the one another thing which we have said that we also have to learn to be quiet also sometimes. Like what we talked about it earlier, that's also one of the points which I am not for. Eye contact as women, we tend to self-monitor our gaze. Men can look into your eyes for very long, but we don't do that. Okay, so when making a presentation, ensure that you aren't making eye contact with only one or two people, which is very important. Because just imagine, if I am with you all and with you three, I am making eye contact, how they are feeling. After a while, probably one or two will go away, and then they will say how useless the professor is. She's only concentrating on three of the people. So, I am also trying to make eye contact with them who are sitting over there, so that everyone feel included, and this is what my presence also is felt when we make eye contact with everyone. So that is very important. The other one is your story. Usually you undermine yourself. This is for true. When I say you undermine yourself, if somebody is appreciating, or as I said, I was made to sit there, I said no. I could have just accepted it and sat there without making much cry about it. Alright? But this is what happens. Try neither to position yourself as a hero nor a villain. We can be mediocre also. It's not that, I could have snatched the chair and said that I will sit here because I am the resource person. Nor that, I should have said, no, I cannot sit there. It was out of respect that, I said that I cannot sit there. I'm just telling my feeling. So when we say about your story, I would like to hear from you. What you have to do is, again, there is an exercise. Now, this time, Men and women will be sitting together. 3 of you, please come here. 3 of you can go there, and you can join them. And 3 of you, 1, 2, and the lady who has gone there can be there. Now, what you have to do is, you don't have to write anything. You don't have to write anything. There would be one person. There would be one person who will be telling the story of hers about your life, something which significantly you have done that you are proud of. Maybe you can talk about sometimes you saved life of somebody. You can talk about, a job which was assigned to you and you did successfully well. Little bit of a story you have to tell. Okay? These two will listen to you and just observe her expressions and everything, how she's telling, diction and everything. You can just listen to her. You will observe, you will also cross-question. When she's talking, you can cross-question her. Have you listened to this? I will repeat. You get the point? And this job can be changed. Whatever. If you want to speak, that's okay. She can be observer. You can observe you can ask questions. One can observe the non-verbal cues. 3 of you, something interesting as a story in your life, which you are proud of or to talk. I will also tell one of the stories. The other one will observe how it's going on. You can question. There are questions which are coming up. What did you do then and everything. Think about a story that's interesting to talk to people. Alright, I hope each one of you heard it. But there are 4 people, but that's okay. So somebody is going to tell a story about the life of an individual. One instance when you did that. One of you can ask the question. The third one is the observer who's talking about the diction, the choice of words, and the non-verbal cues. Okay? So somebody should tell the story. Instance to these people. You can ask questions. You can observe. Yes. No, wait a minute. The story should be taking some time so that it is elaborate and everyone would enjoy it.
Oh, we have to
Yes. No, first you have to tell the story amongst yourself. I am not listening it. Okay? So tell it. I will be asking few questions. Is that story something that you won't be able to tell me? We can think about it. We can think about it. Yeah, any story which they are interested to listen and you also feel proud to tell. Okay? So take some time. Do it. I'll come back to you. And I'm not listening to anyone right now. So you are talking amongst yourself. And that person who's observing can take down notes. Hello everyone, sitting across, and I just noticed that you are online. Are you putting your name? 3 of you? Thank you. Hello. I hope you people have enjoyed talking about it. I really saw that, you were so happy and each one of you were laughing out so loud. What I would suggest is instances like this should be shared more often. When in the group, today you are in the small group that you had shared, but these instances should be shared and with a lot of fun and enjoyment. Because, what you achieve is something which you should be proud of. Now, as a man, as a woman, both. But women tend to, what I said is, the storytelling usually is, both ways. Either it becomes too much as critical one or something as a very low one. So we should have a middle path. We should enjoy. We should get into celebration. This has also been observed that women, when another women compliment the women that you're looking good, do you know what is the first response we give?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
This is an old dress.
Yeah.
This is an old dress. I have worn it earlier also. We don't take the compliment as, oh, thank you so much. Alright, this is very important. Whenever you are given compliment or, yeah, what is it? No, I just said a woman is giving a compliment. It's not a sexist compliment, just a normal compliment. It's not a sexist compliment.
We tend to like give it a shimmy or express
Oh, is that so? That is what, because we are not confident. Because we are not confident. Yeah. So that is what the reaction is this. Am I looking good? I had looked better yesterday. Nobody complimented me. Right? I was wearing a new dress yesterday, but today it's just a normal dress. Just take a compliment if it comes. Whether, yeah. Thank you. And you will feel good. The person will feel good. Intentions, forget it, whatever. So now do you want to listen to the other stories? What have we told? Would you like to listen to the others? Okay. Now the purpose of this is just for a celebration. For the sense of achievement. We have told this story. And the way the expressions were coming up, I got very curious that I should know the story. So let's start with the first one. Maybe you guys can start. And maybe you can come closer or you just move so that we see each other. So you can also move like this so that everyone is able to see.
The one who was saying that, telling us what you have to say?
Yeah. That person only should tell because, because the other person might not remember because it was just for the observation. And this was mainly so that the listening abilities also improve. When I said one person should ask questions, asking questions help in improving our listening abilities. Listening can be of different types. Sometimes it can be critical listening. Sometimes it's just for appreciative listening that you are enjoying. The psychologists, they listen with the other purpose, right? So the purpose of listening can vary. And why did I ask to observe the non-verbal cues? I was just looking at her. I mean, it was going so well with whatever she was saying. Sometimes the non-verbal cues do not match what you are saying. Now you start assuming which one are truthful. Are the non-verbal cues truthful or what the person is saying is truthful? Now what is your take on that?
My story?
No. Suppose I say, alright, I will do something for you and you tell me, hey guys, it was such an interesting interaction. I really enjoyed every bit of it. Initially, I was worried, but by the end of it, it was so much fun. Now, which one will you believe? I mean, there was no expression. Doesn't match. I think she's made to say so that it is recorded and she should say that, right? So, it said that the non-verbal cues are more spontaneous and they're more truthful. So, if it is enhancing, it's okay, but if there is incongruence between what you are saying and your non-verbal cues, it's difficult for a person to believe it. Alright, so you start your story and tell it to everyone and let's enjoy.
So, it's an instance which I was telling, which I had told them. So, this was basically when I was posted as Judicial Magistrate Garrison. So, I was also the Secretary TASA then. So, we had to do legal awareness every month. So, once I had gone to the school, in Pincham Government Secondary School, which is like very far west in near Kejuperi Lake. So there, during the awareness, I had also given awareness to, I was giving awareness to students of class 8. So I had talked to them about POCSO offense, Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. So basically I was talking to them about the offense, about the good touch, bad touch and all. And that I had also said that in case if the child is not able to the victim, if anybody is a victim and the victim is not able to open up and complain to the parents or to the friends or to teachers or anyone for that matter, then they can, I had given them the child helpline number 1098. So I said that you can call in this number and complain about it, and this number is definitely going to help because this is the child helpline number. So then I forgot about it and I came home. So after 2 days I received a call from a police saying that there was one child who was a victim. There was one child in the audience who was a victim of POCSO offense, and she was, some people were doing offense to her, POCSO offense, for a very long time. And that around 3 people were doing such things. So then she complained and the police had caught those persons and eventually they were convicted also. And I think Madam was the one who convicted them. So this was a very proud moment for me.
Great.
I actually thought of writing it in my ACR also.
I think you must laugh. Very nice.
But then I didn't write because again, I had asked for the format from my seniors also.
Yeah.
I saw that everybody was just writing about the number of cases they were doing.
Yeah.
So I didn't write it, but then I actually feel proud of that today also.
You can always write on social media or no? I am just curious to know. No, they cannot. Beautiful it is. But I think this forum is good enough for you to, talk about it and share this happiness, a rare thing which has done good to the others. Alright, fantastic. Okay, you.
Madam, mine is not with regard to work. This is what the experience of a trek that I've taken with my brother-in-law. So, because of, for the trek, we had joined gym because I have always been super healthy. So, in order to...
Nice word you have used. Super healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, so in order to see how our body, like if our bodies were fit or not, and if I would be specifically if I would be able to carry my weight for the trek and everything, so we joined gym and everything. I think we went for around 6 months or so, and then we finally went, and it was like a very gruesome trek. I mean, it was like the trail was very from medium to hard level. We hadn't been informed of that. And till date, I have only been for like 1-day hikes. So that was like an 8-day trek with my brother-in-law, and then we had to walk uphill in the high altitude for minimum 7 to 8 hours for like 11-12 kilometers. Thankfully, we just had to carry like 5-6 kilos on our back because we had pointed waters also. So during that time, I realized that walking uphill was much easier for my weight specifically because while coming down on the last day, we had to like cover up 2 campsites and we had to walk for around 12 hours. So in that 12 hours or something, 4 hours was like straight meadows or like a little up and down, but then 8 hours straight was like downhill. So during that time, my kneecaps gave up. So I was at one point in time when we were about to reach, I think we were about 2 or 3 hours away from the main pickup point. I just sat and I cried to myself. My brother was like waiting for me, where is she? I couldn't walk because I couldn't walk straight downhill, so I was trying every other possible way to walk. But then when I finally reached down, I was proud of myself because I was able to complete the entire 8-day trek because my brother-in-law after the first night itself, he was like wanting to give up because he had some kind of panic attack and everything. But then I kind of helped him, and then I said that we have gotten into this together and then we have to come out together also. But then the worst thing was, the funny thing was, during the whole trek, people were walking, obviously we were all walking by ourselves and everything. And we had some porters, some people were like old and they were taking help of the porters. But then we were like all on our own pace, and everybody, not most of people were, regular trekkers and everything also. We were like all beginners only. So what happened is like everybody, by the end of the trek, everybody lost weight. They were like, the people who had lost about 4 to 5 kgs of weight and everything, they were like weighing themselves also. I was very excited also, saying that, thinking that I will also have lost at least
same weight.
2 to 3 kgs, at least I was hopeful. But then when I weighed myself, I was like so sad and disappointed to see that I had actually gained 0.8 So that was a funny thing. But then
Beautiful.
I was like
So
proud of myself.
one thing which I would like to add there to Libby's clap. One thing I would like to tell each one of you, we should take initiative. Like, she should have not waited for the fact that she has to climb and then do exercise. It's not about body, it's not about anything, it's about health. When you said health thing, I am happy about it. We usually wait for the doctor's comment and then we start with the pressure. It's very, very important in today's age. To tell my story in that connection, I was never overweight, but I had serious problem of asthma. And my child, the eldest one, was born, and he was premature born, and now I know that it was because of my asthma. And he had developed some problem also. With God's grace, that he's fine, and today he's working in New York in KPMG. So it's all about that. What I did was, I was told to exercise. So everyone wants to have the quick results. 1 year, maximum, 2 years. But actually this is not true. We have to do it, and we don't have to check weight or anything. We have to continuously do it. So I started running. I ran just few meters initially. I continued, and my teacher, who was the trainer, would usually carry the puff for me so that he can handle it. He said, you can do it. He would be around, somewhere around. Whether he was not, but he would always tell me that he's around. Seriously speaking, in all these years, I started my exercise in 2006. Today is 2023. I can run every day now. I'm running 5 kilometers. I have no sign of asthma today, and I just wish that I had done that so that my child would have gone, with better environment. That's what I said. His height is 6'4", 6'5", beautiful height, and that's why I said with the grace of God that those trauma I did not face. Initially we had problems, but he's doing perfectly alright. So what I'm saying is we should never think about it. We should start with small steps. This is a message which became very important to me, that small steps are important. We usually say, "Aaj kha lete hain, kal karenge exercise." Everyone, and we enjoy when others are telling stories, right? So do it, and the magic of the contentment what I get with this workshop would be to get a mail from you that, madam, that day you said I started taking compliments in a positive way, and I say thank you now. I have started, I did not know how to cycle, and I thought that this is what is the initiative. I had been the trainer for Springboard Women's Development Program, where I had talked about the balance between the working life and home life. And this is what I said, that we should have me movement, something time for ourselves, and where we should not be guilty. Because we usually think that we are taking time of children and taking time of husbands. There should be me time, and it's very important for an individual. I tell you, the perspective of life will change, how people will look at you will change. We should not cut a sorry figure that, I am a asthmatic patient. There were times when I would have tears in my eye to get the medicine. But, nobody paid attention. It was me who was suffering. So that is why let's take those steps and be proud of ourselves, and we can do it. And climbing up would be so easy for you. I did the same for Bhutan. And, I was hearing people were saying, oh, he's 54, he's climbing, and I never told about my age. What is my age? I'm also climbing. I climbed till up, half of the people went away. It was raining also, but I did not tell my age to them. I hope that they never got to know about it, because I was very active in climbing, as I said, because I run, I exercise, so I was able to manage it. We should be happy about ourselves, and being women, I do not know how many of you think that given another life, would you be women again? I don't know, my answer is still yes. Right? So, always sometimes to teach a lesson to my husband, I think the role will change. That is it. Otherwise, usually we think that we would still enjoy. Alright, fantastic. I really love it. Okay, next one please.
Okay, this is the story that we shared in the group. Actually, it's very funny, so we were all laughing.
Yeah, I saw that he was also laughing. Yes.
We were all laughing here because we were talking about the English and judges, when we were acceptance and not judges like now. And there's a stage, there's a procedure in criminal procedure wherein the accused, the person who's accused, is brought before the court, and the judge asks him questions. What happened in this instance of ours is the senior, we were under some senior, and the senior asked us to go down to the district court, take the accused along with us,
wanted to walk with an accused? Is that so?
We just sent him home because I didn't know that he was supposed to go down.
Yeah.
And that was a procedure which is to be
Followed. Yeah.
So when the judge asked me when was the accused and I'm supposed to ask him, I said, yeah, I sent him home. And then the non-bailable warden followed.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. That's interesting. I would just say it because sometimes there are truncated information and we don't know the complete thing. And this is what the advertising world is doing. I keep taking the example from advertising because that's my forte. So advertising people, they say, this is free and then there is a condition of right? So we don't get to know what are the conditions there and we think that, it's almost free, but later on we find it out that nothing is free. Alright? So yeah, the last one.
Okay, so I think I'm audible, no? So you said, tell a story that you are proud of. So this is one instance I was sharing with them. At that time, I was working in the registry as Registrar General, and there weren't so many judicial officers, and we used to be very, very busy. And one evening when I was really busy, I got a call from one of my sisters. Now she used to be a person who would visit the hospitals and help people and things like that. So I got a call from her saying that because I'm married in West Sikkim, she said please go to the hospital and visit this fellow because he's got a very young child and they're economically very disadvantaged. Go and help them. So I said okay, and I carried on with my work. Then I got another reminder from her asking me, did you visit them? So I said, no, I haven't. But I finally made time and I went to visit the family. And when I went, I found that it was a very young boy. He was very young at that time, I forget his age. And his father. And this boy had lost one limb on his arm and burnt all his fingers on the other hand. Because he got electrocuted while playing around a transmitter. Okay, and they were so poor. So I initially just helped them a little bit and then I took his number. Because there was nothing much I could do at that point. Already he was recovering. And then they went back home. But I used to follow up every once in a while. I used to call up saying, how's your child? Because I really wanted that the child should, continue with his studies and do well. But unfortunately, he dropped out of school because he was so conscious now after having lost his hands and his arm, And then when the father told me he dropped out, so I tried to get him a prosthetic arm because we have visiting doctors, I think you're aware, some doctors come to our district hospitals. Unfortunately, the 2 or 3 times that I sent them, he got rejected, saying that he's too young, he's not eligible for an arm. And then I saw online that there was this thing on Facebook, this person does free, prosthetics and he helps the poor and all that. It was a number in Rajasthan. So I used a lot of people.
Yeah, Jaipur. Jaipur foot?
Jaipur foot,
yeah.
Jaipur foot. There was another one. Okay, but it turned out to be a scam, I think, because the persons, those numbers were all not contactable and things like that. So it really didn't work out. Finally, then, just before COVID, I heard that a team was coming to a missionary unit in Siliguri. So then I got the father's name and then I contacted him and got everything ready. But because of COVID, the entire team went back and we couldn't hold the camp. Then sometime last year or year before last year, I got a call from the father saying, oh, now they're coming to Kalimpong. If you can send these people, you send them there. So then I managed to again arrange a car for them, send somebody with them, and then he actually got a prosthetic finally, all right. So I was very happy. So this boy, because till then he had become quite withdrawn, and the family also, they used to treat him like, oh, he's disabled, he's useless now. So he was kind of discarded, and he would not mix also. But after the prosthetic, now his self-esteem has grown up a little bit, he's very confident, he can do small chores for himself, so I feel very proud about that. That is what I was sharing. The only thing was, after he got his arm, and I asked the father, so how's he, how's he doing? The father looked very disappointed. He told me, oh, but the fingers don't work. And I
The expectations.
you know.
That is what is the expectation. Very nice, very nice. If we can take up such small steps and do good to the society, there's nothing parallel to it. It's a contentment that comes to an individual, right? So let's move further, and this was your story, and let's come towards the end of it. Okay, so we talk about glass ceiling, and we just said that these are the barriers. But all we can do is we can take some steps to overcome that particular thing. It will remain, but whatever we can do, being assertive, being dominant, maintaining eye contact, taking our story in the positive way can help out. This is the last slide which I have, and it talks about how effective communication can really make a change in the society, in the organization. What is it that it can help? So if an open environment is created, I tell you what inhibitions we have with the boss, that we cannot go and talk, probably that will stop, because the fear of talking to the boss is always there. If you have to take leave, you will see what is the mood of boss, should you go, should you not there. So the open environment should be appreciated. I hope you know that in some of the offices where they think that they cannot communicate directly, there are few places where you can record your message, the critical messages or criticism for somebody, so that you are out with whatever you are fighting with within yourself. Always keep the receiver in mind who is on the other side, not to offend the person. For example, we use some of the words so vaguely without realizing who's on the other side, and that might offend the person because we have not realized that that is a sensitive issue for that person. Avoid having too many transfer stations, and I just said that what do? We have started going for the flat structures. In many organizations, there is a rule that one has to go to the next level only. If I have directly to go to the Vice Chancellor, I cannot go directly, but go to him through different levels. Whether it is a writing part, I think that's for you also, or I don't know if you can reach to the top directly. But that is not possible. Do not communicate when you are emotionally disturbed. Have you ever realized that when you are emotionally charged, you are not able to choose the right words? Just imagine the time you had an accident, there were no words which were coming out of your mouth. I remember when I had an accident, myself, I was driving a scooter and I did not know what all parts of my body had gone. I was not even able to say anything because I was so much in pain or whatever you call it as. Emotionally, I was just in trauma. Yeah. Right? So that is why. Have you ever also thought that when you're too happy, you cannot communicate? Imagine the news for which you had been waiting for. Even for her, when she heard that the doctor is coming and she was able to do things, I am sure that she was not able to come out of the words. But of course, when the father said about what his expectations are, she said, now I should maintain my calm. Be aware of the diversity of culture and language about the other person. When we go abroad, we forget that their gestures are different than ours. Some of the words which we use very loosely in India, we cannot use in US. And other people start laughing at it because they have different connotations. So we have to be very careful, and we also have to be careful with the youngsters because youngsters know better than us. The connotations what they put, we cannot. The simple word, I will bang you. I have seen many professors using it. The students start laughing at that. Okay, this I can just share with you, but there are many other sexual connotations along with the words which are not realized, and the person becomes as a laughing stock. One has to be careful. Use appropriate non-verbal cues. Similarly for non-verbal cues also. I mean, even in the country itself, as was told earlier, but when you're in South and when I just ask you, do you understand? So you usually say like this? Yes. Some people say yes like this also. And in South India, they say yes like this. So it's altogether different. So we don't understand what is being said. So non-verbal cues should be understood properly, and some of it should not be done. As I said, it has got some connotations. Select the most appropriate medium. Wherever is possible, people should have face-to-face communication. If it's not possible,
Then, what is the difference between talking over telephone and talking in person? What is the difference? We are not talking about video calls or something. The connectivity is one. The second thing is, when I'm just talking to somebody, I don't know the reactions and expressions. Because some people, when they smile also, like over telephone, do you smile and talk? Yes, yes, it will be natural. And people can feel it. People can feel it. But not everything in non-verbal cues are felt. I have also said, you are coming to my house and you are asking me the way. I will say go towards that side and come on the left side, and I will be gesturing without realizing the other person is not able to see anything and is getting the wrong information. So use the appropriate medium, and also the feedback should be analyzed in a proper way. Most of us are negative while we are dealing with the feedback. If somebody says us on the face that you're useless in your communication, we don't like it. But we have to critically look into it. That what is the problem? Why is it that it is being said that the feedback is not good? We should be able to take the feedback positively. How many of us can take the feedback in a positive way? If we have been told something. Tell me truly. Yes? Yes? Everyone?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah. Maybe a junior has said something. This is nonsense. How dare you? It is possible. We can. So it depends on who's saying it. If we can take it positively. In my profession, when I'm the teacher, because I'm the one who's grading the students are a little hesitant to talk about it. So that's a different story. So that is what is important. Alright. So women have shattered glass ceiling throughout the history, and it's not a new phenomenon. You know who's being paid more when the profession is safe? We know about it. Alright? And effective communication has always been their secret weapon, said Mrs. Obama. Right? And that is how we become as an effective communicator, trying to get the things done. All is we ought to learn. There's one video which I wanted to show to you before I close the event. Because we were just talking about, the gaze and everything, and how the advertising people are showing it. Now, one thing is very important. What we see in media, it becomes as a model for us, and we start looking up to that particular information. Because suppose we talk about workshops and all, that's a limited people who take advantage of it. But when there is a media, for example, the movies, they become as a very effective tool to change the mindset of the masses. And that's very important. And those advertisers should take more responsibility to send the message across well. Alright, there are probably two things which I would like to show you. that cannot happen directly, there can be indirect ways of doing it. The purpose is that we have to get the job done. Now the message which has come over here, the girls are not saying directly to them anything, right? Those who are indulging into something wrong, but there's a way to just convey the message that this is how it can be done, and that is what is the important thing. So with that note, we stop. If there are any questions, I'm ready to take it, and there are claps for everyone. Thank you for your wonderful participation and lots of input from all of you. And there was much more to be done, but I think since we put everything, even for the women issues, we put everything around the communication, the message goes in a better way than doing just the theoretical part of it. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I just talked to them, but they just said that, are you able to hear me? Hello. Those people who are online, I would just like to know whether you were able to get what we did in the class today, I mean during the workshop today. They seem to be very serious, they are not laughing like you. Yes, so they just said that there is a glitch, though they were there, and they said that there is some problem. So we have come to an end. If there is something from your side to share, you are free to share that with me. Otherwise, I would be sharing the recorded thing with you shortly. There's no reaction the other side, and we were all talking about the disadvantage of online classes and online lecture, so that's it. If there is anything that is to be asked from your side, please feel free, and I will be available otherwise. Anyone? Questions? So maybe you were thinking there should be questions from my side. I will take a quick quiz for you, right? You just have to give me the answer. What did I say that the systematic of non-verbal communication is called? Quick. Alright, your time gets down 10, 9, 8. I said systematic study of non-verbal cues is called as kinesics. Kinesics. You remember I said so? What is the definition of feedback? Quick. 1, 2, 3. Okay. The response of listeners to the speaker is called as feedback. Alright, what was the word which I had used to say to throw out of window? Response. Defenestration was the word? Alright, what was the word which I said is the longest word? Plausification. Alright. Okay, the last question, which should be the easiest question. What was it that I said? The distance between two individuals gets under the purview of the study, which is called as PR, proxemics, and this is the word which is related with proximity. Alright? So thank you very much. You got 0 mark in the quiz though. But it was a fantastic interaction with you, and thank you that you gave me so much time to breathe also, because I was listening to you as I was speaking out, and I hope after the session of mine, sometimes you become a better listener. And as I said, if you are able to pick even one thing which I've said, it would be an achievement for me. And seriously, I enjoyed every bit of it. How the time flew, I did not get to know about it. Thank you so much.